Chapter 2149. All the trump cards. The ballistae were usually only found in the mortal world. Its presence was extremely rare in the eternal chaotic world. But the 4 ballistae above the void were from the ancient era. The 4 ballistae needed a dozen almighties to draw the bow alone, which explained the many almighties manning the devices. Now the 4 bows were completely drawn with the use of the almighty's power. But the most precious part of the ballista was not its bow, but the black arrow on it. The 4 arrows were called heaven-piercing arrows. Loose! An almighty shouted. The 4 crossbows were released at the same time. 4 black flowing lights exploded out. It was too fast. So fast, even a great emperor could not react in time. The 4 ballistae were aiming for the 4 great emperors of the 3 emperors' world. The 4 were only first-stage great emperors trapped in the dragon imprisoning formation, still figuring out a way to escape. When the 4 black flowing lights were released, the 4 great emperors had an unprecedented sense of impending crisis. They did not know where the sense of impending crisis came from, but by the time they had reacted, the 4 black flowing lights had already penetrated them. The 4 great emperors looked at the black arrows in shock. They could feel the devastating power the arrows had, leading them to despair. Chi, 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 chi. 4 black flowing lights penetrated their protective armor, going through their bodies. Wong! 4 corpses fell straight down to the ground. The heaven-piercing arrow was known for its deadliness, even during the ancient era. In fact, the 4 ballistae could not fully bring out the power of the arrows. But it was enough to take down a great emperor easily. The Sanctuary Alliance had only managed to collect 9 of such arrows since its founding. Now they had used 4 in one shot. Star God puppets roll out. Ancestor Tian Chun let out a roar. From the front of the crowd, boom. Hong, hong, hong. Several violent auras erupted. 6 great beings appeared on the battlefield. They were all over 10 meters tall, but not a single trace of life could be felt from within them. It was obvious that they were puppets. However, the aura radiated by those puppets was enough to scare countless almighties. Star God puppets. They were unique puppets obtained from ancient battlefields. Each puppet required a lot of resources and divine power to operate. But the moment they were activated, they were at pinnacle first-stage fighting power. Now, operated by the Sanctuary Alliance at a high price, the puppets headed straight for the 3 emperors' world experts. In an instant, the eternal chaotic world army collided with the 3 emperors' world experts. Die! Die! Every single eternal chaotic world expert was driven by bloodlust. Most of them were in their battle formations. Some powerful formations, like the one driven by 3 emperor gods and 12 pinnacle sir gods, fought directly against a 3 emperors world great emperor. Get lost! The great emperor's stone rod in his hands skyrocketed in the void to form a huge mountain. The mountain went straight for the formation. With a loud bang, the formation had to retreat, but it did not collapse. A great emperor indeed. 3 emperor gods and 12 sir gods working together were still forced out by him. I guess there is only one method left. An emperor god within the formation said solemnly. The others understood what he meant. Wong, Wong, Wong. A peculiar force rose from the 3 emperor gods and 12 sir gods. It was star power. At that moment, they had used the secret skills of Star Palace simultaneously. Although they had only read up the secret skills of Star Palace's first scroll, it was enough to increase their powers tenfold. With their powers increased substantially, the battle formation reached a whole new level. We have 10 breaths worth of time to take him down. We must at least wound him, the leading emperor god said. And with that, the battle formation charged towards the great emperor. Both sides began their brawl once again. In a rage, the great emperor raised his stone rod with much more strength. The giant that had been formed by the battle formation threw a heavy punch. Hong! A loud explosion could be heard from the battlefield. The giant did not retreat at all, while the 3 emperors' world great emperor was left wide-eyed trembling. Blood was flowing from his mouth. How could this be possible? The great emperor was astonished. But the giant did not stop, and seized all the remaining time it had left. Master Wu of the eternal chaotic world had his eyes fixed on the great emperor as well. Together, they had completely suppressed that great emperor. 1 breath, 2 breaths. 9 breaths passed in the blink of an eye. Last breath, the leading emperor god said. As the giant threw out his last punch, 3 flowing lights burst out of the giant's body. The 3 streaks of flowing light were in fact 3 purple beads. It was another trump card of the Sanctuary Alliance, the Blood Thunder Pearl. The Blood Thunder Pearl was so strong that it was almost comparable to the blow of a great emperor. Now 3 of the pearls were headed towards that great emperor, along with Master Wu's sword suppressing him. Chapter 2150 Overwhelming Superiority. The 3 Blood Thunder Pearls immediately exploded upon contact with the great emperor. Pung! 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 3 violent forces erupted from the Blood Thunder Pearls. The power was directed towards that 3 emperor's world great emperor, and at the same time, Master Wu made his lethal sword stroke. Hung! A storm of divine power immediately rolled up. After it had dissipated, what remained was an unbearable scene of the great emperor. Not only was his complexion pale, his entire body was also stained with blood, and his breath was extremely weak. Did we injure him enough? The 3 emperor gods and 12 pinnacle sir gods' eyes lit up. Their secret skills of Star Palace had stopped by then. Without the secret skills of Star Palace, we can no longer engage ourselves in great emperor-level fights. Let's leave the rest to Master Wu. Immediately, the giant left for another battlefield. The same scenario was happening at all corners of the battlefield. The Sanctuary Alliance had over 100 Blood Thunder Pearls, and every pearl contained the power equivalent to a great emperor when it exploded. The Blood Thunder Pearls were distributed in the hands of many emperor gods and sir gods, and played a great role at critical times. All the trump cards and meticulously prepared treasures helped the Eternal Chaotic World Army bring unprecedented damage to the 3 emperors' world. The situation on the battlefield was completely one-sided. There was no room for struggle. Actually, the overall strength of the 3 emperors' world was not weaker than the Eternal Chaotic World by 1 bit. Perhaps it was even stronger. However, they suffered because they had been caught by surprise. They were unprepared. They had suffered terrible losses from the very beginning. By the time they could react, their power was no match for the Eternal Chaotic World. The most they could do was block the Eternal Chaotic World's attacks. The defense could not last for long. As the Eternal Chaotic World's army charged towards the 3 emperors' world experts, Emperor Bai made his move at the other battlefield. His opponents were naturally Lord Fun and Demon King Chenyu. Wang. A huge, immaculate golden shadow rose from behind Emperor Bai. It was a golden emperor. He was 99,000 feet tall, 3,000 feet wide, with a pair of golden pupils that could see everything. Like a golden arc, it was as if the entire world had surrendered under his feet. As the golden shadow appeared, Emperor Bai's aura reached its climax. He made his move. The white, slender arm made a fist, and explosive power began to be concentrated. The 99,000-foot golden shadow did the same, and held his right fist tightly. Emperor Bai punched out. Hung long long. The void in front scattered instantly. It swept over everything. It was as if nothing, including heaven and earth, space and time, could resist that punch. Lord Fun and Demon King Chunya's faces changed. They had both fought against Emperor Bai before. They knew how scary he was. The punch and its imposing power frightened both of them. Together, Lord Fun billowed. His flames rise towards the sky once again. The fiery lord he had morphed into also rose to hundreds of feet tall. He was like the master of the world's flames. As the fiery lord held the flame sword with both of his hands, the sword started to emit a terrifying power. The power billowing divine power, secret skills and rules of order. The rules of order were extremely violent. Cut! The fiery lord let out a loud roar, and the fiery blade swung down immediately. The fiery power from the draw of the blade incinerated everything around into dust. Demon King Chenyu made his move as well. He displayed his 8 arms, each holding a divine weapon. At that moment, the 8 divine weapons unleashed their potential and charged towards Emperor Bai. Soon, their attacks came into contact with Emperor Bai's shocking punch. Pung! A loud bang. The large golden fist rammed through the flaming blade, crushing Demon King Chunya's 8 divine weapons, and continued its attack. Hung long long. A terrifying power was in play. Lord Fun and Demon King Chun Yu were darting out like bombshells. Too strong. Lord Fun marveled. Jian Wushuang, who had witnessed that scene from afar, was dumbfounded as well. 1 versus 2, crushing the enemies as well. Emperor Bai is strong indeed. Demon King Chun Yu only possessed average 3rd stage Great Emperor fighting powers. But Lord Fun was near pinnacle 3rd stage level. Yet he was ridiculously far behind Emperor Bai. This will be much easier now that Emperor Bai has joined the fight. Jian Wushuang smiled and stared at his opponent. Lord Fun and Demon King Chun Yu were both marked by Emperor Bai. Now Jian Wushuang's only opponent left was Ba Su. Let's do this, Ba Su. Jian Wushuang's voice was harsh and charged towards him. Back at the Imperial City, the battle had become extremely intense. But the situation was obvious. The 3 Emperor's world experts were retreating. The gap between the 2 worlds' overall power was getting wider. This excited many experts of the eternal chaotic world. They knew that the opponent was about to crumble. They just needed to continue to fight on, and victory would be theirs. But, as 3 Emperors' world was at the verge of collapse, Wang, a beautiful crimson figure, appeared above the Imperial City via space tunnel. His appearance was well marked by his strong bloodlust. The smell of blood, its density, was unprecedented. Many experts could not help but turn over. The 3 Emperors' world experts were elated. On the other hand, the eternal chaotic world's experts' pupils shrunk sharply. Kaiser Blood. He's finally arrived. Emperor Bai showed a baffling smile. Chapter 2151 Kaiser Blood. Arrival. Kaiser Blood, one of 3 leaders in the 3 Emperors' world, and the strongest expert amongst them. Even the other 2 leaders looked to him for leadership. But Kaiser Blood barely showed up. The previous time the Supreme Emperor Stone had been destroyed by Jian Wushuang and others in the Imperial City, it had been Lord Fun and Demon King Chun Yu that had moved out. He hid in the shadows. But now Kaiser Blood could no longer sit still. The void above the Imperial City was Kaiser Blood's fuzzy figure. His bloodshot eyes got a good look of the entire battlefield. His heart sunk upon the sight. At this moment, boom! A terrifying aura billowed over him. Kaiser Blood looked up and realized Emperor Bai had appeared in front of him. Emperor Bai's giant golden shadow remained standing, its desire for battle rising tremendously. Kaiser Blood, I finally get to meet you. Emperor Bai's voice was clear, with vast golden divine power coming out from him every time he spoke. It became a huge ocean of golden divine power. Emperor Bai was at the center of the wave of golden divine power. He clenched his fists and threw a punch. The punch stirred the entire golden divine power sea, and arrived at Kaiser Blood within the blink of an eye. Emperor Bai. Kaiser Blood squinted. He had heard of many stories regarding Emperor Bai, so he dared not let his guard down. Immediately, he took a single step, releasing a horrifyingly bloody aura throughout the entire battlefield. Kaiser Blood's hazy right fist was covered by a crimson glow. He pointed his finger towards the void in front of him. With a finger, boundless crimson light burst forth, and a huge sculpture was formed in the void. The sculpture was taller than Emperor Bai's 99,000-foot-tall golden shadow. At a sitting position to top it up, it was a crimson divine demon. Its 3 eyes were all fixated on Emperor Bai. An ancient aura was dispersed. At the same time, dong, 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 ancient bell sounds meandered across the heavens. The bell sound contained a special charisma, stopping many cultivators below Great Emperor level, leaving them dazed. The crimson divine demon made its move. The gigantic palms of his clapped. With one clap, heavens and earth fell silent. The palm was increasing in size. Finally, the palm came into contact with Emperor Bai's golden shadow's fist. Pung! Emperor Bai was slightly taken aback. The golden shadow behind him dimmed down quite a bit as well. The crimson divine demon statue in front of him, on the other hand, collapsed immediately, as the crimson light scattered out. Within moments, the crimson divine demon was destroyed, blowing Kaiser Blood away. Kaiser Blood took a moment to compose himself. Indeed, the strongest expert in the world, Kaiser Blood said, his bloodshot eyes still fixed on Emperor Bai. You're not too bad yourself, much stronger than Lord Fun and Demon King Chun Yu, Emperor Bai said, but there was doubt in his eyes. He could sense that Kaiser Blood's situation was peculiar. It's a shame I do not have the time today. If I did, I would really like to witness your inverse cultivation for myself, Kaiser Blood said. Trying to escape? Emperor Bai asked. Kaiser Blood simply smiled back. As he smiled, countless crimson light rays shone on him. Kaiser Blood at that moment had become a huge dazzling crimson sun. The crimson sun shone its bloodshot rays all over, forming a continuous sea of blood, sweeping in from all directions. The sea of blood was so vast, and the power it contained was extremely unique. Even Emperor Bai's golden divine power sea could not stop it. In an instant, the sea of blood covered every corner of the Imperial City's battlefields. Space tunnels started to appear from that very sea. Those space tunnels were formed haphazardly by the sea of blood, numerous and all located near the three Emperor's world experts. The space tunnels released a terrifying suction immediately. Many three Emperor's world experts, like the average Emperor gods, Sir gods, were all drawn in involuntarily, and eventually disappeared into the space tunnel along with other great emperors. In an instant, the three Emperor's world experts that had flooded the battlefields all disappeared. That included the great emperors, including Lord Fun, Demon King Chen Yu and Ba Su. The eternal chaotic world experts were simply unable to stop them. When Jian Wushuang realized Ba Su was gravitating towards the space tunnel, he immediately performed the moon-picking skill in an attempt to seal the surrounding space-time. But he realized, as he was about to perform the moon-picking skill, he was blown away by the sea of blood's impact. He could not force Ba Su to stay. Only one person from the three Emperor's world forces remained in the Imperial City. It was Kaiser Blood. Impressive, this Kaiser Blood. Jian Wushuang was fixated on him, slightly shocked by what he had done. The three Emperor's world was already on the verge of defeat, so all they had to do was carry on hunting them down, and the enemy would have been left defeated. They could have kept at least half of the enemy forces. But with one move from Kaiser Blood, he directed all the experts to safety immediately. The method was heart-wrenching. Emperor Bai, the Blood Lord located at the center of the Sea of Blood, spoke. Our three Emperor's world's forces were caught off guard this time. You will not be so lucky next time. Kaiser Blood then looked towards Jian Wushuang. Chapter 2152 Victory. Jian Wushuang's expression changed, and he looked towards Kaiser Blood. Kaiser Blood looked towards Jian Wushuang in a peculiar way. Jian Wushuang, you have destroyed the three Emperor's world's plans several times. I remember you now. Wait and see. I'll give you a surprise the next time we meet. Haha. A burst of devious laughter echoed around, and Kaiser Blood's figure faded into nothing in front of all the eternal chaotic world experts. The blood-colored sea that had filled the entire Imperial City gradually disappeared as well. The Imperial City went quiet once again. With that, the final battle came to an end. Unfortunately, there was no decisive victory on both sides. Jian Wushuang, Abysmal Saint Master, and others gathered above the void. Are you alright, guys? Emperor Bai looked at the great emperors in front of him. The great emperors in front of him were those that had followed Jian Wushuang in the sneak attack. We're fine, but Black Dragon Emperor was hit badly by three Emperor's world great emperor, Abysmal Saint Master said. Jian Wushuang immediately looked towards Black Dragon Emperor and found her rather pale in complexion, and her aura had been weakened significantly as well. He frowned. I'm fine, I'll recover over time. Black Dragon Emperor looked at Jian Wushuang and smiled. Jian Wushuang nodded. At this time, Ancestor Tianqin walked over. Emperor Bai, the casualties on both sides have been tallied, Ancestor Tianqin said. The crowd looked at Ancestor Tianqin. How is it? Emperor Bai asked. We lost a lot of Sir Gods and Emperor Gods, over 200 of them in total, with more injured. Luckily they had elixirs to recover their injuries and divine powers immediately. If not, we would have suffered greater losses. We only have 3 injured great emperors thankfully, Ancestor Tianqin said. The faces of Jian Wushuang and the others darkened. The battle had been completely to their advantage, but they'd still lost so many almighties? What about the 3 emperors' world forces? Emperor Bai asked indifferently. Ancestor Tianqin straightened himself and replied in excitement. Preliminary statistics showed that with the treasures like heaven-piercing arrows, blood thunder pearl on our side, We took down 8 great emperors alone. Coupling the Sword Emperor's sneak attack, the 3 emperors' world lost 12 great emperors. Everyone flinched upon hearing the numbers. 12 great emperors? Before the eternal chaotic world had started the great battle, there had only been 13 allied great emperors known by the Sanctuary Alliance. It was only as the battle began that the hidden experts revealed themselves, increasing Sanctuary Alliance's total of great emperors. Taking down 12 great emperors in one blow must have been a devastating blow to the 3 emperors' world. The enemy lost even more Sir Gods and Emperor Gods. Ancestor Tian Chun said with excitement. The main factor leading to such great numbers is naturally Jian Wushuang's achievement, taking down over 1,000 Almighties. Add that to the Almighties taken down by our army, and it means the enemy has lost over 1,500 Sir Gods and Emperor Gods. 1,500 Almighties. The great emperors around were all shocked, especially Abysmal Saint Master, Underworld God and King Chen Xing. They had not considered how many they had slaughtered during the fight. Now they realized how many people had fallen at their blades. They were not surprised, nor did they feel guilty about it. After all, the Sir Gods and Emperor Gods they had slaughtered were considered weak to them. In fact, a lot of them were innocent. They did not know a war was going on between both worlds. Slaughtering such almighties brought them no pride or joy at all. But they had no choice. For the eternal chaotic world, and the billions of beings living in it, they had to do it. They had no guilt. It's a pity Kaiser Blood appeared at the last minute, allowing the rest to escape so easily, abandoning the entire imperial city. If not, we could have achieved better results, Ancestor Tianqin said. Jian Wushuang and others nodded. Kaiser Blood was very decisive. Imperial City was the sanctuary grounds of the 3 emperors' world, possessing huge resources and sites of opportunity. Countless 3 emperors' world experts had been stationed there for too long. It was the 3 emperors' world's lair. But when Kaiser Blood saw the situation in front of him, he made the decisive decision to forego the lair, to protect the experts. This kind of decisiveness was not one that an average man possessed. We were not able to take down all 3 emperors' world experts, but their losses are definitely much worse than ours. Emperor Bai said. Regardless, this is definitely the eternal chaotic world's victory. Yes, a victory. Complete victory. The great emperors around all held hands in excitement. Even though they paid the high price of 200 almighties, they took down 1,500 enemy almighties and 12 great emperors. This degree of victory was unprecedented. Our forces were of equal footing with the enemy before this battle. But now, after today, the scales of victory have completely landed on our side. Chapter 2153 Sweeping 3 Emperors' World. Hearing what Emperor Bai had said, Jian Wushuang and the other great emperors clenched their palms together. They were all elated. Indeed, the battle had turned the tables from being similar in power to completely overpowering the 3 emperors' world to the extent that they had abandoned their lair. The huge amount of resources the 3 emperors' world possessed would allow the eternal chaotic world to progress in strength once again. If it went on, the eternal chaotic world forces would eventually emerge victoriously. As an estimation, we have a 70% chance of winning, Ancestor Tianqin said solemnly. 70% was Ancestor Tianqin's estimate. Indeed it was. Even so, we must not let our guard down. The 3 emperors' world are led by 3 ancient era leaders, especially that Kaiser Blood. Emperor Bai's expression changed. He's something else, that Kaiser Blood. Jian Wushuang and the others looked at Emperor Bai. They had all witnessed Emperor Bai fighting it out with Kaiser Blood and seen Emperor Bai at the complete advantage. Obviously Emperor Bai's abilities were about the same as Kaiser Blood's, but as they heard what Emperor Bai had said, if my prediction is correct, Kaiser Blood was not at his best just now. Definitely so, Emperor Bai said. He felt really strong, but could not defeat me during the fight. There is only one explanation for this, which is that he had not fully recovered his abilities. Incomplete form? Abilities not fully recovered? Under those circumstances, if Kaiser Blood could go head-on with Emperor Bai, it meant that his fighting power would be at pinnacle 3rd stage. If he had fully recovered, what stage would that be? 4th stage? We need to be on our guard. The tactics of the ancient era outpower what you all are familiar with today. We must chase them down. We cannot give them room to breathe, Emperor Bai said coldly. But now that the experts have abandoned their lair, we have no way of knowing where they are hiding. How can we chase them? Jian Wushuang frowned. One should at least know where the enemy was in order to chase them down, right? Kaiser Blood's tactics are impressive, creating space tunnels with his blood-tainted ocean. Even I cannot sense where the space tunnels went, if they have left the three emperors' world or not. If they really wanted to hide, it would not be easy finding them. Emperor Bai's face was sour. But we have no need to find them for now. Our target is the entire three emperors' world. Emperor Bai, you mean? Jian Wushuang read his mind. Emperor Bai said coldly, the three emperors' world will never let us off. If we were on the losing side, they would have decimated the billions of lives on the eternal chaotic world. Therefore, we cannot go soft on their world either. The three emperors' world has countless domains and cultivators. This is the foundation of the three emperors' world. These domains are the ones providing the enemy with cultivators. We must eliminate everything. Of course, we cannot be as ruthless as the enemy. We will spare the normal cultivators, but hunt down the high-ranked experts. Jian Wushuang, ancestor Tian Shun, and many other great emperors around were determined. They had all stepped on the bodies of others to reach where they were today. Naturally, they would not go easy on the enemy. The 12 states, 84 god mansions, 3,300 domains, and countless cultivators of the three emperors' world. The domains and cultivators were the true foundation of the three emperors' world. They were not so as crazy to kill every single cultivator, but they could not afford to not take down the elite ones, or potentially elite ones. Tianchen, send the word for the army to move off. Get them to sweep and search every single domain. Kill every powerful almighty in sight. Even the real gods, leave the void real gods and eternal real gods aside. But anyone that reaches chaotic real god, kill them. Emperor Bai said coldly. Understood. Ancestor Tianchen nodded. The rest of you, make your way forward as well. Don't let the enemy defeat us here. Emperor Bai said. Understood. Jian Wushuang, Abysmal Saint Master and others obeyed his command. Before long, they had reorganized Eternal Chaotic World Army and headed for different domains under the command of several great emperors. The largest sweep within three emperors' world had commenced. A hidden domain within the three emperors' world. The three emperors' world experts that had escaped from the imperial city had all gathered there. At the core of the domain, at the dark void above, gathered Kaiser Blood, Lord Fun, Demon King Chenyu, and Lung Ruxia. Even though Ba Su was a third-stage great emperor, his measly status gave him no right to be there. The faces of the four were extremely ugly. We have received the news. The Eternal Chaotic World Army has moved out from the imperial city and has started sweeping every domain. They are wiping out all the high-ranked experts we have, Kaiser Blood said coldly. But anyone could tell his tone was full of murderous intent. Eternal Chaotic World. Emperor Bai. And that Jian Wushuang. Damn it, damn it. Demon King Chenyu was bawling. This time, we were outplayed by Emperor Bai, Lord Fan said. The token Jian Wushuang crushed was a void token, if I am not mistaken. A rare token even in our era. A void token, a carefully thought-out plan for Jian Wushuang and others to hit us unexpectedly, dealing as much damage as possible. Then they lured all the experts over, finally using the token to send their army over to wipe us out. Vicious. Chapter 2154. That move. Even Lord Fun was surprised by how amazing this move by Emperor Bai was. Emperor Bai fully made use of the value of the void token. Jian Wushuang also played a big part. He was probably the only person from the Eternal Chaotic World who could sneak into the Imperial Palace easily. This time, the three emperors' world has suffered great losses. Our lineup is probably weaker than that of the Eternal Chaotic World, Kaiser Blood muttered. Hearing this, Lord Fun and Demon King Chenyu fell silent. Before the fight started, the three emperors' world always have an advantage. Even without the Dark Millstone, their advantage was still far bigger. They not only had an advantage in the general power level, they had spies from the Acheron Palace within the special tribes, and the human territory. The chance of victory was about 80%. After a series of battles, they had lost their edge and were now at a disadvantage. They even had to give up territory within the three emperors' world. After all these years of elaborate planning, we are going to fail just like this? Demon King Chenyu said, unwilling to accept the fact. Defeat? How can that be? Even though it is disadvantageous for us now, we still have a chance to turn the tide of battle, but we have to use that move. Kaiser Blood smiled. That move? Lord Fun, Demon King Chenyu and Lung Rushua looked over to Kaiser Blood. They fell silent. They clearly understood what Kaiser Blood had meant when Head said that move. It was exactly because they knew clearly what he meant they were solemn. They dared not use it carelessly. The cost of that move was so huge that it was not easy for even Lord Fun and Demon King Chenyu to accept. I too do not want to use that move. However, given the situation at hand, the three emperors' word will stand no chance against the eternal chaotic world if we do not use it. Our defeat is just a matter of time. If that were the case, our effort all these years would be put to waste, Kaiser Blood muttered. Wouldn't that move be a little too cruel? Demon King Chenyu said as he knitted his eyebrows tightly. Demon King Chenyu was a leader of the Acheron Palace. He had come from the ancient past, and hence his heart had been hardened over and over again. Even though he was decisive, he did not care when he knew that the dark millstone would destroy all life in the eternal chaotic world. When Kaiser Blood mentioned that move, even he felt it was too cruel and evil. We can only imagine how terrifying the move was. I fully agree with Kaiser Blood. Critical moments like this require a different way of doing things. Chenyu, you have lived for so long. You should know clearly you will need to give some things when the time comes. Why are you so hesitant? Lord Fan said emotionlessly. Demon King Chenyu squinted his eyes as he nodded his head. If that is the case, let us use that move. Everything is for our final objective. Yes, everything for our final objective. Kaiser Blood smiled coldly. Kaiser Blood, Lord Fun and Demon King Chenyu made up their minds. As for Lung Rushua, she simply sat there quietly at the side. She did not speak at all. However, you could see there was a glint of a different emotion in her beautiful eyes. Kaiser Blood, when will we use that move? Demon King Chenyu asked. Let us not hurry. I still need to make some preparations. Let us endure for a period of time. Kaiser Blood smiled. Hearing this, Demon King Chenyu stopped asking questions. Within the three emperors' world, the army from Eternal Chaotic World swept the different territories. Many of the top-tier experts, such as Sir Gods, Emperor Gods, and the rare few great emperors, had received the message from the higher-ups from the three emperors' world, and ran to hide at the new assembly point. Even so, many of the experts who had not received the message in time died. As the army swept across the territory, these remaining experts were exterminated. Not just the Almighty, but many of the chaotic real gods had died when they were discovered by the experts from the Eternal Chaotic World. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. The army from Eternal Chaotic World swept the territories within the three emperors' world for 3 months. Within the 3 months, all of the territories were swept many times. After the sweep, most of the experts had already died. Emperor Bai then ordered the sweep to stop. The Imperial Palace was originally the home base of the three emperors' world. Now it was under the control of the experts from the Eternal Chaotic World. Jian Wushuang and many of the great emperors gathered in the Grand Palace. We have swept most of the territories within the three emperors' world. The experts were all exterminated. All we are left with are the experts who escaped and the location of their assembly point, Emperor Bai said. The great emperors present were clueless. In 3 months, these great emperors had followed the army to sweep the territories. They had originally thought the experts from the three emperors' world would put up a fight. In reality, the 3 months had gone smoothly. No one had tried to fight back, and the remaining experts had been killed. The top-tier experts had abandoned their territory in this world, and the cultivators were living inside. After the battle 3 months ago, the three emperors' world suffered great losses. They know they could no longer go head-to-head with us. They must be hiding somewhere, waiting for a chance to strike back, Ancestor Tianqin said. I think so too. They might be preparing for some special means to turn the tide of this battle. The reason they are not attacking us right now is because they have yet to finish their preparations. Jian Wushuang agreed. From what Kaiser Blood had said before they'd escaped, the three emperors' world would not give up so easily and would strike back. Like Emperor Bai had said, the three emperors' world could really be preparing for some means to turn the tide of the battle. Hence, we cannot give them time to prepare. We need to find them and kill them all. Jian Wushuang said coldly. Chapter 2155 Blatant Search. That is right. If I am not wrong, they must be hiding in the three emperors' world, be it a very distant place or a dangerous place. Emperor Bai nodded his head in agreement and continued. Tian Chun, order the experts from the eternal chaotic world to search this place carefully. Roger that. Ancestor Tian Chun went off to pass the order. What followed was a blatant and thorough search within the three emperors' world. Even though the three emperors' world was huge, there were thousands of almighties from the eternal chaotic world. If they split up and search, they could search the entire world in a short amount of time. However, the great emperors would not involve the great emperors. Jian Wushuang took this time to go into a secret room. He sat down and a golden sword appeared in front of him. It was the Hongjun golden sword. This was the legitimate Hongjun golden sword. He had got it when Head killed Zichen. The legitimate Hongjun golden sword was much more powerful than the replica. Jian Wushuang knew this clearly. When he had just reached the fighting power of a great emperor, he had fought Zichen. Even though he was slightly stronger, he had still lost when the originals and replicas of the Hongjun golden swords clashed. This was due to the swords themselves. Now that Jian Wushuang had the legitimate Hongjun golden swords, he was going to refine them. The experts from the ancient past had really amazing techniques. They could make replicas that greatly resembled the original. Even the aura from the two different swords were exactly the same. The only difference is probably the power. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly. Before long, he started refining the swords. The process of refining the swords was not complicated. Within a day, Jian Wushuang managed to refine all 9 Hongjun golden swords. Let me try out its power. Jian Wushuang thought with anticipation. He controlled one of the Hongjun golden swords as it flew forward. Whoosh! A golden beam of light burst forth instantly. Under his control, the sword maneuvered around the room at a great speed, changing directions every now and then. The sword itself could not be spotted. All one could see was the golden light it emitted. Oh boy! The speed increased by so much. Jian Wushuang was excited. Jian Wushuang waved his hand as another Hongjun golden sword appeared in front of him. It was the replica version. Whoosh! The same golden light burst forth. Even though it had great speed, it was obvious that it was on a completely different level compared to the original version. Most importantly, the sound the original sword made when it sliced the air was much stronger and piercing. This speed, the original is at least 3 times faster than the replica. Jian Wushuang clenched his fist as he tested out the power of the Hongjun golden sword. Boom! Boom! Both of the Hongjun golden swords burst forth and attacked the void space. One of the void spaces twisted and turned, while the other burst open. It looked like the latter had greater power, but Jian Wushuang could feel that the first one had concentrated its power and none was lost. Oh my! Based on power alone, the original Hongjun golden sword is at least twice as powerful as the replica. I currently have the fighting power of a stage 3 great emperor. The attack from one Hongjun golden sword is equivalent to that of a stage 3 great emperor, and I can control 7 of them. If I use all 7 of the Hongjun golden swords together. Jian Wushuang was excited. Hongjun golden sword was a very powerful weapon from the ancient past. It was favored by many experts that meditated on the space-time doctrine. The Hongjun golden sword was also incredibly powerful. Ever since Jian Wushuang had received the replica Hongjun golden sword from Long Qi, it had benefited him greatly. Now that he had received the original Hongjun golden sword, he would benefit even more. After obtaining the 9 Hongjun golden swords, my battle power has increased significantly. If I am ever surrounded again, I can kill them all as long as they are not as powerful as me. Jian Wushuang smiled. Jian Wushuang remained inside the secret room to familiarize himself with the 9 new Hongjun golden swords. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. During this period of time, the experts from the eternal chaotic world flipped the 3 emperors' world upside down. It was a pity that they still could not find the experts from the 3 emperors' world who were hiding. Even though they did not find the experts, they found clues. Jian Wushuang, come and find me. Emperor Bai sent a message to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang left the secret room he was in and went to find Emperor Bai inside the palace. Ancestor Tianchen too was in the palace. Emperor Bai, have you found them? Jian Wushuang asked. I have found some clues, but we cannot confirm them yet. We need someone to explore the clues first, Emperor Bai said. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Ancestor Tianchen whipped out a star map. This was the complete and detailed map of the 3 emperors' world. After Ancestor Tianchen had taken out the map, he pointed at a certain territory. From our deductions, the experts from the 3 emperors' world should be hiding here, at this place called the Ancient Blood Forbidden Ground. Ancestor Tianchen said. Ancient Blood Forbidden Ground? Jian Wushuang was surprised. You have heard of it? Emperor Bai squinted his eyes and looked over. Of course. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. Chapter 2156 Ancient Blood Forbidden Ground. Jian Wushuang had lived within the 3 emperors' world for a period of time, and he knew the names of notorious experts and forbidden grounds. Jian Wushuang had heard of the Ancient Blood Forbidden Ground. The 3 emperors' ground had 8 danger areas, 4 grounds of despair, and 1 forbidden ground. Aside from the 8 danger areas, anyone under the chaotic realm who entered the 4 grounds of despair would definitely die in them. The chances of survival were low even for experts in the early and middle stage chaotic realm who went in and explored such areas. There were experts in peak chaotic realm and great emperors who died when they were exploring the depth of these places. These places were notorious within the 3 emperors' world. However, there was one place far more dangerous and deadly than the rest. It was the one and only forbidden ground. It was the Ancient Blood Forbidden Ground. No matter who entered it, the chances of survival were extremely low. Everyone in the 3 emperor world thinks that the Ancient Blood Forbidden Ground is the most dangerous place of all. Over the ages, not many have dared to enter to explore. Now you're telling me that the experts from the 3 emperors' world are hiding inside there? Jian Wushuang frowned. That was the most dangerous place in all of the 3 emperors' world. Even great emperors found it difficult to leave that place alive, or even unharmed. It might have been too difficult for the experts to hide there. We cannot know for sure. However, our experts realized there were many experts from the 3 emperors' world appearing near the Ancient Blood Forbidden Ground. Some of them were even seen going inside of the Forbidden Ground. Hence we deduced that there is a high possibility that the experts from the 3 emperors' world are hiding inside there. Ancestor Tianchen said, this is one of the possibilities. It is also possible that the experts from the 3 emperors' world revealed where they were on purpose in order to lure our army into the Ancient Blood Forbidden Ground. No one knows for sure what is inside that place. What if the place is really as dangerous as the legend says? It will not be wise if our forces are injured in the process. Emperor Bai continued, this is why it is not wise for our army to enter the Forbidden Ground right away. The best course of action is for someone to scout the Forbidden Ground and see if the experts from the 3 emperors' world are really in there, or if the experts from the 3 emperors' world are simply luring us into danger. There must be a reason why the Ancient Forbidden Ground is called the most dangerous place in this world. We should not be complacent. If we ask an Almighty to venture inside to scout, it will be equal to suicide, as he will die before he can get any useful intel. Hence, we must send a powerful great emperor as a scout. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. Jian Wushuang understood where Emperor Bai and Ancestor Tianchen were coming from. There were signs of experts from the 3 emperors' world in the Forbidden Ground. Someone had to go and scout, but that someone needed to be powerful. The most suitable great emperor from the eternal chaotic world to do this job would be Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, only you and I are at the power level of a stage 3 great emperor from the eternal chaotic world. I have to stay alert here in case of any accidents and hence cannot go to scout personally. Hence, I will have to trouble you to do this for me. Emperor Bai smiled. Both of us are inverse cultivators. We know clearly how difficult it is to kill inverse cultivators. Combined with your current fighting power, your life will not be in danger within the Forbidden Grounds. If you find the experts from the Three Emperors world, you will be able to fend them off for a period of time and request help. The army will charge in at a moment's notice. Emperor Bai said. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. He understood that if an ordinary great emperor went to scout the Forbidden Ground, he would not have time to do any scouting, as he would be too busy trying to stay alive. Hence, the safest and most appropriate person to go would be Jian Wushuang. His ability to survive was far greater than the rest's, and he could fend off multiple enemies for a short period of time until Emperor Bai arrived with the army. I will ask Jiu Qiao to go with you just in case any accidents happen. His doppelganger can ensure there will be no problems in transmitting any messages. Emperor Bai said. If that is the case, I shall leave now. Jian Wushuang said. Go then. All the best. Emperor Bai waved his hands. Jian Wushuang went to look for Emperor Jiu Qiao immediately after he left the palace. Emperor Jiu Qiao. Jian Wushuang called out as he approached him. Sword Emperor. Emperor Jiu Qiao greeted him in return. Jian Wushuang had power only second to Emperor Bai in the eternal chaotic world. During many situations, Jian Wushuang had proved to be vital in turning things around. For example, during the ambush on the Imperial Palace, Jian Wushuang had contributed greatly to making that a huge success. This was exactly why Jian Wushuang was becoming more and more respected in the eternal chaotic world. Even ordinary great emperors respected him greatly. Have you received any message from Emperor Bai? Jian Wushuang asked. I just received one, and I was about to look for you. I did not expect that you would find me first. Emperor Jiu Qiao smiled. If that's the case, let's go. Furthermore, I have to do something that will be unjust to you. I hope you understand. Jian Wushuang continued. I understand. Emperor Jiu Qiao was not surprised by this. Even though he was a great emperor, he was an ordinary stage 1 great emperor. There were many dangers within the ancient blood forbidden ground. He would only become a burden, given his fighting power. The best thing was for him to stay within the Blood Mountain Sword, and contact Emperor Bai via his doppelganger. Jian Wushuang then suppressed Emperor Jiu Qiao into his Blood Mountain Sword. They then headed for the ancient blood forbidden ground immediately. The Three Emperors' world had 12 provinces. The ancient blood forbidden ground was located at the intersection of 2 such provinces. The forbidden grounds occupied such a big area that it resembled a mini-domain. Jian Wushuang reached the Ouyuthangserts of the forbidden grounds. This is the ancient blood forbidden grounds. Jian Wushuang floated in the air as he squinted his eyes and looked down on the domain below. It was covered in a blood-red mist. Even he felt threatened just by looking at the forbidden grounds. One could only imagine how dangerous it actually was. Furthermore, the space-time around the forbidden grounds was unique. I will not be able to transmit any messages from within the forbidden grounds. Luckily, I brought along Emperor Jiu Qiao. Jian Wushuang muttered. He then stepped into the ancient blood forbidden grounds without any hesitation. Chapter 2157 Ambush. Jian Wushuang had a sword on his back as he explored the ancient blood forbidden ground. The air was filled with blood-red mist that radiated sanguine. However, vegetation was still thick under these conditions. The entire area was a dense jungle. I have no knowledge about the ancient blood forbidden ground. This may be troublesome. Jian Wushuang frowned as he thought to himself. If it had been other dangerous areas like the Four Grounds of Despair, he at least would have had a basic understanding of the place, as several experts had been in and come out to tell the tale. However, the ancient blood forbidden ground was different. Only the most powerful great emperors from the Three Emperors' world might have some understanding of the dangers of this place. However, all of those great emperors had disappeared and gone inside. He could not get information prior to his scouting mission. Sigh. Let's see how this goes. Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. He continued heading straight cautiously as his soul power encompassed everything around him. Not long after Jian Wushuang entered the ancient blood-forbidden ground, a man in crimson-red cloak seated in the dark void in the depth of the forbidden ground noticed him. Someone ventured in. Kaiser Blood said coldly. Ventured in? The army from the eternal chaotic world is here? Demon King Chunyu, who was sat beside Kaiser Blood, asked. No, there is only one person. Based on his aura, it should be the Sword Emperor. Kaiser Blood said. Sword Emperor? Jian Wushuang? It's this brat again. Demon King Chunyu widened his eyes and exclaimed. The army from the eternal chaotic world does things really quickly. They came to scout the ancient bloody forbidden ground so quickly. Lord Fan said coldly. It is normal. The experts from the eternal chaotic world swept the territories very quickly in an attempt to find where we are hiding. They have swept even the most remote land. What is left are those dangerous areas. Furthermore, our experts will definitely leave behind small traces of evidence that we are here. It is just a matter of time before they get here. Kaiser Blood smiled lightly. However, they are unsure whether we are really here, and if this is our hiding spot. Otherwise, they would not have just sent the Sword Emperor here alone. The entire army will be here. The Sword Emperor only came here to do some scouting. Lord Fan said. That should be the case. Since he is here to scout, let him roam inside the ancient blood-forbidden ground then. There are natural dangers and the ancient blood tribe within this forbidden ground. If he is lucky, he might even meet that existence, and that will make things interesting. Kaiser Blood smiled. Lord Fan and Demon King Chunyu smiled creepily. They indeed were hiding within the ancient blood-forbidden ground, even though there were many dangers there. The reason why they could stay there and stay safe was due to special reasons. But it was a different case for Jian Wushuang. Within the ancient blood-forbidden ground, Jian Wushuang was still traveling slowly and cautiously. In the blink of an eye, half a day passed. During this half a day, he did not encounter any dangers. Right then, he appeared on top of a dense forest. Whoosh! A crimson-red beam of light burst forth from below and attacked Jian Wushuang. Huh! Jian Wushuang knitted his eyebrows as he fixed his sight onto this beam of light. The speed of the beam of red light was very fast, much faster than most of the Sir Gods and Emperor Gods. The speed was very similar to that of a great emperor. Most importantly, this beam of red light was always in the depth of the forest. It did not have any aura, and Jian Wushuang had not spotted it using his soul power. When the blood-red beam of light appeared in front of Jian Wushuang, a blood-red claw appeared and targeted his throat. The power of the claw could threaten even Emperor Gods. At such a close distance, the claw could severely injure the victim given how fast and sudden it came. Under this circumstance, an ordinary Emperor God would probably be assassinated. However, the target of the claw was Jian Wushuang. Scram! Jian Wushuang roared. He did not draw his sword. He simply waved his hand, and a sword light appeared. Even though Jian Wushuang had waved his hand casually, the power of this attack was equivalent to that of a Stage 1 Great Emperor. Almost instantly, the claw and the sword light collided with each other. A loud clang was heard, followed by a cry of pain as the blood-red figure backed off. It did not die. Jian Wushuang was surprised. That attack of his had been at the power level of great emperors, and it still had not killed the creature. The blood-red creature steadied itself as Jian Wushuang could finally see the creature's true identity. This exotic beast was about 1.5 m tall and looked like a fox. It was covered in blood-red fur. The eyes of this exotic beast were bloodshot. It stared at Jian Wushuang before it turned and fled back into the jungle below. Now you want to escape? Jian Wushuang stared at the exotic beast coldly as a beam of golden light burst forth. This was the legitimate Hongjun golden sword. It was traveling at a terrifying speed. When Jian Wushuang controlled the replica version of the Hongjun golden sword, it traveled at a speed that made even the Stage 1 and 2 great emperors fearful. Now that he was controlling the legitimate sword, the speed was 3 times faster compared to the replica version. What a crazy speed it had! Even though the exotic beast was escaping at great speed, it was still significantly slower compared to the Hongjun golden sword. Within seconds, the Hongjun golden sword caught up to the blood-red exotic beast and collided into its body with terrifying power. Even though the beast had a strong self-defense mechanism, it could not take the attack from the golden sword as it pierced its head. Chapter 2158 Ancient Blood Bios. The entire space was filled with blood-red mist. Jian Wushuang stood there and studied the floating corpse of the exotic beast. Even though the beast was already dead, the body still radiated a horrifying aura. What kind of exotic beast is this? Jian Wushuang knitted his eyebrows and thought to himself. He had been venturing in the eternal chaotic world for so long, and had heard of or seen most of the exotic beasts in the world. However, he had never seen this type of exotic beast that excelled in ambushing before. It is very fast, much faster and stronger than any exotic beast I know of. An emperor god would probably die if that claw hit him. Its defense is also far greater than any of its kind. Jian Wushuang struck the exotic beast with an attack, which was at the power level of a great emperor. However, the beast was not injured at all. Speed, power, defense. This exotic beast excelled in them all. Its aura was so well hidden that I did not detect its presence even using my soul power. This kind of exotic beast seems like it has no weakness. Jian Wushuang knitted his eyebrows. Terrifying. This was the most terrifying exotic beast that Jian Wushuang had ever encountered. Even though that exotic beast was not a threat to him, it was undefeatable for those ordinary cultivators who were of the same power level as these beasts. I wonder if I will meet more of this exotic beast. Maybe there are even more powerful ones as well. Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. Jian Wushuang started moving as he continued his journey. Before long, he met the same exotic beast which attacked him the same way again. This time, there were 5 exotic beasts attacking simultaneously. These 5 exotic beasts were of similar power level to the one that Jian Wushuang had just killed. Hence, they died without putting up much of a fight. Jian Wushuang continued his journey again. In the dark space at the depth of the ancient blood forbidden ground, Kaiser Blood, Lord Fun, Demon King Chenyu, and Lung Rushua gathered once again. If everything goes according to plan, Jian Wushuang will probably fight the ancient blood beasts. Kaiser Blood smiled coldly. Even though this tribe was not one of the top-tier tribes back in the First Era, their power is not to be looked down upon. Even the 7-star Black Sect was exterminated during the tragic battle back then. They are lucky that they survived till today. It is a pity that their fighting power is far weaker than before. Even so, the overall fighting power of this tribe is still far greater than the top-tier special tribes in the eternal chaotic world. Before we suffered the heavy losses, the 3 emperors' world only barely managed to suppress them. Those within the clan are not to be messed with. Lord Fan said. Haha. Doesn't Jian Wushuang want to know whether we are inside the ancient blood forbidden ground? If he really wants to find out, he needs to first overcome the ancient blood tribe. I am curious to find out if he has the ability to stand up to the entire tribe. Demon King Chenyu chuckled. He can manage tens of such beasts. However, if he ventures deeper into the forbidden ground, he will face more than just the ancient blood tribe. Kaiser Blood smiled. The ancient blood forbidden ground was known by all for being the most dangerous place of all. A part of it belonged to the ancient blood tribe. Even the 3 emperors' world at its prime would not dare to declare war on this tribe. They would settle their disputes over treaties and agreements. The reason why the experts from the 3 emperors' world had hidden here was not only because this was a well-concealed location. More importantly, it was because the ancient blood tribe was there. If the army from the eternal chaotic world wanted to attack, they need to first bypass the ancient blood tribe. Meanwhile, Jian Wushuang was still on the move. When he was moving, he encountered small groups of ancient blood beasts. Each of these beasts was very powerful and could threaten any ordinary emperor gods. However, Jian Wushuang handled them with ease. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Jian Wushuang focused his vision as he stopped in his tracks. He saw 6 of the ancient blood beasts up ahead. At the same time, more beasts started to emerge from his surroundings. He did a quick count and realized there were 15 beasts. After I entered the forbidden ground, I never ran into more than 5 of such beasts at any one point of time. Now there are 15 in front of me. Looks like I am near their home. Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. Each of the exotic beasts was extremely powerful and had seemingly no weaknesses. Any one of them can kill an emperor god. If 10 of them work together, they can threaten ordinary great emperors. No wonder the ancient blood-forbidden ground is called the most dangerous place in this world. No one under the realm of great emperors will dare to venture into this place. Jian Wushuang thought. Even peak emperor gods, who did not possess the fighting power of great emperors, would die under the combined assault of several ancient blood beasts. If they ran into 15 such beasts, they would definitely die. While Jian Wushuang was thinking to himself, the 15 ancient blood beasts would not sit idle. Everyone stared at Jian Wushuang with their crimson-red eyes. There was no communication between them. The moment they looked at Jian Wushuang, killing intent started to erupt from their bodies. Immediately whoosh, 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 beams of red light streaked across the battlefield. 15 of the ancient blood exotic beasts attacked simultaneously. Their speed was terrifying. These beasts did not try to communicate with me. They simply attacked. Jian Wushuang knitted his eyebrows as he drew his blood mountain sword. Let's see if you are faster, or my sword skills are faster. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly. He swung the sword in his hand as he cast his sword skills. Sword Principle Xian Luo, turn monstrous at one thought. Jian Wushuang slashed at them casually. The two exotic beasts too slashed out fiercely. Clang! Clang! Sounds of metallic collisions rang in his ears as he saw the two exotic beasts flew back. Jian Wushuang also took a step back. Huh! Jian Wushuang looked at the two exotic beasts in surprise. They are at the Great Emperor level? Furthermore, there were 7 more ancient blood beasts that looked significantly bigger than the remaining exotic beasts. There are 7 more, which means there are 9 exotic beasts at the power level of great emperors. Jian Wushuang was shocked. 9 beasts at the power level of great emperor, and hundreds of others at the power level of emperor god surrounded him. This force was very powerful. This force is slightly stronger than even the Special Tribes Alliance. This forbidden ground is really terrifying. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Luckily, Emperor Bai had sent him to come and scout personally. If it had been any other great emperor, they would probably have died when facing these beasts. It definitely deserved its title of being the most dangerous land in this world. These beasts stopped attacking. What are they planning to do? Jian Wushuang surveyed the area coldly. After the 2 beasts with power levels of a great emperor were forced back by Jian Wushuang, the remaining beasts stopped in their tracks. They simply stared at Jian Wushuang with great killing intent. Right then, Arwo! The same howl was heard, but this one was much louder, deeper and more powerful. After the howl, a gigantic figure appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. There is an even stronger being? Jian Wushuang thought as he was finally taking things seriously. Chapter 2160 Emperor Bias, under the blanket of the blood-red mist. The entire place turned quiet. The ancient blood beasts that surrounded Jian Wushuang couldn't help but lower their heads. Jian Wushuang licked his lips while he stared at this gigantic figure. It was also an exotic beast, but it was much larger than the rest. An ordinary ancient blood beast was only 1.5 m tall, and no longer than 2 m. Those who were at the power level of great emperors were twice the size, but no larger than 3 m tall and 5 m long. However, this gigantic figure was at least 10 m tall and 20 m long. This size was insignificant compared to many exotic beasts or special tribes within the eternal chaotic world. Jian Wushuang was 10 feet tall when he revealed his ancient god body. If he wanted to, he can be over 10,000 feet tall. However, this figure, compared to the other beasts, was definitely a gigantic figure. Looks like this is the emperor beast. Jian Wushuang muttered. Any big tribes, especially exotic beast tribes, would have an emperor, or their leader. There were so many ancient blood beasts in the forbidden ground. The gigantic figure in front of Jian Wushuang should be their leader. The 3-meter-tall ancient blood beast already has the fighting power of a great emperor. I wonder how powerful their emperor is. Jian Wushuang thought to himself as he looked at it coldly. The gigantic figure stared at Jian Wushuang with his blood-red eyes. Suddenly, boom! The air exploded with great pressure as the Emperor Beast disappeared. All that was heard was a supersonic boom. This speed? Jian Wushuang was shocked. The ancient blood beasts were already very fast. The Emperor Beast was even faster. In an instant, the Emperor Beast appeared in front of Jian Wushuang and stretched out his blood-red claw. The blood-red claw turned into red lightning and struck down towards him. The strike looked like it was traveling slowly. In reality, the speed of the claw was so fast that it affected the space-time around it, giving the illusion that it was slow. In reality, it was unbelievably fast. This claw seemed to have the power to destroy a star if it was in the way of it. Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes. The moment this claw moved, he swung his blood mountain sword. The sword essence could be felt clearly as a sword light burst forth instantly. Sword Principle Xian Luo Blast Rainstorm. This strike had the speed of the wind and force of a rainstorm. Clang! The two collided with each other as a bright light was emitted and lit up the entire sky. Jian Wushuang was absolutely confident in his own ability. He was at the second stage of 7th step in inverse cultivation. He had incredible amounts of divine power. Combining that with the bloodline power of a 9-star ancient god and immemorial celestial body, he had terrifying fighting power. Even stage 3 great emperors like Demon King Chenyu, who grasped a little of rules of order, were still slightly weaker than Jian Wushuang. Even back in his prime, Jian Wushuang used all his might and cast the strongest sword skill in Sword Principle Xian Luo. If Demon King Chenyu was the one facing this attack, he would probably be forced back. Now that he was fighting the Emperor Beast. At that moment, boom! An overbearing power surged through his arms and forced its way into his body. This overbearing strength made Jian Wushuang retreat to steady himself. After he steadied himself, he looked at his numb hand, shocked. The power of the claw he had just attacked with was definitely comparable to that of Lord Fun. He had fought Lord Fun before. Lord Fun had strength far greater than him. At that point, he knew that Lord Fun was very close to peak stage 3 Great Emperor. The pressure this Emperor Beast had on him was even greater than Lord Fun. This Emperor Beast not only had comparable strength, but also a much quicker speed than Lord Fun. The exotic beast, which was 10 meters tall, disappeared again. Jian Wushuang's face darkened as he tried to use his soul power to locate the beast. At the same time, the 7 Hongjun golden swords burst forth. Even though Jian Wushuang himself was much slower than the Emperor Beast, it was a completely different story for his 7 swords. The 7 swords turned into beams of golden light as they pierced the space and attacked the Emperor Beast. Right when the sword was about to collide onto the Emperor Beast, it shook weirdly to its left and right. The few shakes looked very casual. However, the 7 swords just passed through it without causing any damage. What? Jian Wushuang could not believe what he had just seen. Obviously, this Emperor Beast was not only fast but extremely agile. Humph! Jian Wushuang grunted as the 7 Hongjun golden swords turned around and retargeted the Emperor Beast. His divine power boiled as he attacked the Emperor Beast immediately. He started a fierce battle with the beast. It was a brutal fight between man and beast. What was most dangerous about the Emperor Beast was its 2 blood-red claws. They were extremely sharp, and it felt like they could tear apart heaven and earth easily. The speed of the attacks was even faster than Jian Wushuang's fastest sword skill, turned monstrous at one thought. He could not even react with 2 arms. However, he had 18 of them. This close combat ability together with his 7 Hongjun golden swords empowered him to fight him head-on. Clang! 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 Metallic collision reverberated on the battlefield as the two fought. The surrounding ancient blood beast prone there and looked at the fight in awe. No one dared to step in. This fight belonged to Jian Wushuang and the Emperor Beast. Soon Jian Wushuang and the Emperor Beast fought for 7.5 minutes. During this time, they crossed blades thousands of times during their crazy battle. Chapter 2161 Ancient Blood Tribe. Finally, Jian Wushuang and the Emperor Beast stopped. What a rush! Jian Wushuang's eyes were sparkling brightly, the Emperor Beast having fired him up. Indeed, it was an exhilarating battle for Jian Wushuang. He showed no restraint during the fight, demonstrating his full power. The Emperor Beast was tough as well. Although it had seemed that Jian Wushuang was on par with him during the fight, Jian Wushuang himself knew that he was at a complete disadvantage. That was despite Jian Wushuang having already obtained the authentic Hongjun golden swords, holding the Emperor Beast down. If not for that, Jian Wushuang would have been completely crushed. The Emperor Beast's crimson eyes were dead on Jian Wushuang. The Emperor Beast was furious as Jian Wushuang had killed many of his own people. But after the battle, he knew that he could not stop Jian Wushuang. He could not take down Jian Wushuang. Even if the entire ancient blood tribe had gathered together to resist him, the chances of actually stopping him were slim. Furthermore, he could no longer fight anymore. The ancient blood tribe was an extremely tyrannical tribe indeed. The tribe was extremely powerful in terms of strength, speed, and defense powers. But the tribe had weaknesses. If they had no weaknesses, they would not have been a B-class exotic beast tribe during the ancient era. The ancient blood tribe had one obvious weakness. They had no stamina. Beasts of the ancient blood tribe consumed a tremendous amount of strength whenever they fought. An ordinary ancient blood beast would only last 10 breaths, whereas the formidable ancient blood emperor himself could last no more than an hour. Half an hour had already passed, and he did not have enough strength. Human, the ancient blood emperor spoke. He spoke with a heavy human accent. He talked. But Jian Wushuang was not surprised. The ancient blood emperor's spiritual wisdom would have already been unlocked at that level of fighting power. Perhaps the limitations of being an exotic beast prevented him from taking a human form, but he could definitely speak the human tongue. Human, you slaughter my people. What purpose do you have here? Ancient blood emperor asked coldly. Slaughtering your people? They came for me. I had to make my move. Jian Wushuang replied indifferently. This is my tribe's territory. Of course, we will exterminate all trespassers. The ancient blood emperor's voice was low. According to the agreement between my tribe and you humans, no peak chaotic realm experts are allowed here. If you want to reach the blood emperor sanctuary grounds, you all need to make a detour. But you are a middle stage chaotic realm expert, yet even I cannot defeat you. You have broken the agreement between the tribes. Human, you wish to start a war with the ancient blood tribe? Jian Wushuang's gaze shifted. He had learnt a lot from the conversation. Firstly, the Crimson Beasts were part of the ancient blood tribe. The ancient blood forbidden grounds belonged to them, and the ancient blood emperor was their leader. Secondly, the ancient blood tribe had reached an agreement with the 3 emperors world humans in the past, where the human great emperors were not allowed inside the tribe's territory. Thirdly, and most importantly, the ancient blood emperor had mentioned a certain blood emperor sanctuary grounds. Blood emperor sanctuary grounds? Jian Wushuang had never heard of it in the 3 emperors' worlds. But now he knew that if he wanted to reach the blood emperor sanctuary grounds, he would need to go through the ancient blood tribe territory. Ancient blood emperor, I am not aware of the agreement. I did not even know of the existence of your tribe. Of course, I have no intention of starting a war with you. Jian Wushuang smiled. He was speaking the truth. He had indeed never heard of the ancient blood tribe before entering their forbidden grounds. If that is the case, please leave now, and never step onto our grounds from this moment onward, the ancient blood emperor said. Jian Wushuang had slaughtered many of his people. If he could, the ancient blood emperor would not hesitate to kill Jian Wushuang there. Like just now, he had tried to kill Jian Wushuang without a word. But after a vigorous battle, he realized he could not take him down, even if the whole army was gathered there. Naturally, he had to let Jian Wushuang go. You want me to leave? Jian Wushuang touched his nose. No rush. Ancient Blood Emperor, I have a question. Where are this Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds you speak of? Is it within the ancient Blood Forbidden grounds? You do not know of the ancient Blood Forbidden grounds. Ancient Blood Emperor's cold eyes glanced at Jian Wushuang. He was puzzled. In his opinion, Jian Wushuang had to be a leader amongst the human tribes, with his strength. Not only should he know about the place, he should be one of the few leaders of the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds. But Jian Wushuang did not know about the agreement either. That made the ancient Blood Emperor suspicious of him. I do not know where you come from. You have killed so many of my people. And yet you still want me to answer your questions? Scram, human! The ancient Blood Emperor shouted. A horrifying aura was building up. The thousands of crimson exotic beasts beside the ancient Blood Emperor had their gaze dead on Jian Wushuang as well. As long as the ancient Blood Emperor ordered it, the beasts would tear Jian Wushuang up without hesitation. Take it easy, no need to be angry, Jian Wushuang smiled. I'm willing to compensate you for the people I slaughtered, but I still hope you will be willing to answer my question if not. If not what? Ancient Blood Emperor asked coldly. If not, I'll not leave this place. I'll kill 100 of your men every single day. Let's see if you all can withstand that or not. Jian Wushuang smiled cunningly. You dare! The ancient Blood Emperor immediately became furious. You want to try it out? Jian Wushuang asked. Chapter 2162 Compromised Jian Wushuang had no grudges against the ancient Blood tribe, and naturally, he did not want to provoke them. But the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds the ancient Blood Emperor posed great importance to the eternal chaotic world. Jian Wushuang needed to get to the bottom of it. Jian Wushuang had to be more forceful about it. The ancient Blood Emperor remained quiet. The ancient Blood tribe contained thousands of people, each of them comparable to a middle-stage chaotic realm expert. They had 9 peak chaotic realm experts as well. Coupling himself, a third-stage expert, the ancient Blood Emperor's forces were formidable. Still, he had no confidence that he could slay the human in front of him. If the human indeed planned to slaughter his people every day, there would be nothing the tribe could do. The ancient Blood Emperor could only make a compromise. Human, if I am not wrong, you are not friendly with the people at the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds, right? Ancient Blood Emperor asked. Indeed. Jian Wushuang did not deny it. HNGH, you humans do fight a lot, the ancient Blood Emperor said coldly. I can bring you to the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds on the condition that you do not harm anyone in my tribe. Rest assured, as long as they do not initiate the attack, I will not do anything. Jian Wushuang smiled. Follow me. Without saying much, the ancient Blood Emperor made his way deeper into the ancient Blood Forbidden Grounds. Jian Wushuang followed. The ancient Blood Emperor brought Jian Wushuang through miles and miles of forest, and after taking almost the entire day, they finally made it to the deepest part of the ancient Blood Forbidden Grounds. That's where the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds are, ancient Blood Emperor said. Jian Wushuang looked up to get a good look of the region in front of him. The region was masked by a thick crimson fog. What surprised Jian Wushuang was a thin crimson layer around the surrounding void. Without a doubt, that was a formation. There's a formation here. Could they be here? Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. Ancient Blood Emperor continued. The Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds were taken over by you humans a long time ago. Although our territory lies right beside the sanctuary grounds, we have made a pact to never step into your grounds, and vice versa. He could tell that the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds were indeed a gathering spot for human experts. There should be a space tunnel linking the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds and the outside domains. The 3 Emperor's World experts could access the ancient Blood Forbidden Grounds without trespassing the ancient Blood Tribe grounds. As the eternal chaotic world made its move against the 3 Emperor's World experts, the experts had escaped to the ancient Blood Forbidden Grounds. A hidden space tunnel that led to the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds existed near the surrounding void. Jian Wushuang simply was not able to locate it, and instead stumbled his way into the ancient Blood Tribe's grounds. The ancient Blood Forbidden Grounds is the 3 Emperor's World's top forbidden grounds. I did not expect their experts to open up sanctuary grounds here. Jian Wushuang could not help but be amazed. He guessed that only the highest ranks and great emperors of the 3 Emperor's World knew about the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds. The Sir Gods and Emperor Gods most likely were unaware. Only after the raid on the 3 Emperor's World did their leaders decide to open the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds for the experts to hide. Now that I have found their hiding spot, the rest is easy. Jian Wushuang smiled and asked Emperor Zhou Qiao inside his Blood Mountain sword to report to Emperor Bai. The experts were indeed hiding at the ancient Blood Forbidden Grounds. Emperor Bai was elated after receiving the news. Finally, we found it. Ancestor Tian Chun heaved a sigh of relief. They had been searching frantically throughout the entire Three Emperors world for the remaining experts. At last they had found it. Since the location had been made known, the next course of action was to send in the army. Jiuqiao, let Jian Wushuang know that I will bring the Eternal Chaotic World Army over to the ancient blood forbidden grounds. For before that can be done, he must settle it out with the ancient blood tribe. Emperor Bai glanced at Emperor Jiuqiao. Understood. Emperor Jiuqiao nodded. He relayed the message to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was in a dilemma. He knew that the Eternal Chaotic World Army needed to go through the ancient blood tribe's territory in order to reach the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds. But if they ran into some friction with the ancient blood tribe, that was a tribe with a third stage great emperor, 9 first and second stages, and 1,000 emperor gods. Even the Eternal Chaotic World forces would need to fight their way through. It would not be an easy fight. Ancient Blood Emperor. Jian Wushuang looked towards the Ancient Blood Emperor with a warm smile on his face. I have a favor I hope you would be gracious enough to grant me. My people will reach the ancient blood forbidden grounds soon. They will definitely need to pass by your grounds, so I hope you will do us a favor and grant us safe passage, Jian Wushuang said. Your people. Looks like another fight's about to break out within the ancient blood forbidden grounds. Ancient Blood Emperor said coldly. Yes, and it will be ugly, a fight to the death. Certainly, the ancient blood tribe wants nothing to do with the fight? Jian Wushuang smiled. Ancient Blood Emperor thought for a while and nodded. I will grant you a safe passage for your troops towards the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds. I don't want my people getting involved in this. I will get them to control themselves. My people will not spill any of your people's blood. I dare not promise about the people at the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds, however, Jian Wushuang said. Ancient Blood Emperor glanced at Jian Wushuang silently. Emperor Jiuqiao, tell Emperor Bai to bring the forces in, Jian Wushuang instructed. Chapter 2163 Blood Emperor Sanctuary Grounds at the Imperial City. Once Emperor Bai and the rest were informed of the Three Emperors World Experts' hiding spot, they made their preparations. Within 2 days, the Eternal Chaotic World Army gathered once again. They headed straight for the ancient blood forbidden grounds. Kaiser Blood, located at the deepest part of the ancient blood forbidden grounds, was the first to sense the entry of the army. The Eternal Chaotic World Army is here, Kaiser Blood said. They managed to find us in the end? Lord Fun and Demon King Chunyu were not surprised, however. They knew even though the ancient blood tribe and its ancient blood emperor were extremely formidable, they were not allies with the Three Emperors world at the end of the day. It would be wishful thinking to assume the tribe would block Jian Wushuang for them. The army would eventually make its way towards the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds. It was simply faster than they had imagined. Kaiser Blood, how are your preparations going? Lord Finn looked over. It's almost done. We simply need to sacrifice the items mentioned in the plan, and it'll be done, Kaiser Blood said coldly. Lord Fun, Demon King Chunyu, and Lung Rux's eyes drooped. They knew what needed to be sacrificed. We have no choice. This is for our final objective, Kaiser Blood said coldly. Go make your preparations. The Eternal Chaotic World's army will arrive soon. Under the dark void was Kaiser Blood sitting. He had a grin on his face, a grin so sinister that anyone that caught their eyes on it would feel shivers down their spine. Hee, the plan I've crafted for years is finally beginning. The ancient blood forbidden grounds were dangerous, but actually the only dangerous part of it was the ancient blood tribe. But after the ancient blood emperor's compromise, providing Jian Wushuang safe passage towards the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds, the Eternal Chaotic World Army did not encounter any danger along the way, and swiftly arrived at its destination. The Three Emperors World Experts are hiding here? Countless Eternal Chaotic World Experts had their eyes glued on the domain covered by a formation. Even with the formation's blockade, they could still feel a thick aura coming from within. Without a doubt, there were many experts hiding inside. Who would have thought they would hide at the top forbidden ground of the Three Emperors world? Abysmal Saint Master sneered. Luckily the Sword Emperor was able to convince the ancient blood tribe to step back. If not, it would have been extremely difficult for our troops to enter here. Red Dragon King laughed. The surrounding great emperors all looked towards Jian Wushuang in admiration. After countless battles, Jian Wushuang's status within the eternal chaotic world had risen to the very top. The great emperors were all sincerely convinced. Everyone, although we have found their hiding spot, we must remain vigilant, Jian Wushuang said. The three emperors' world's forces are no weaker than ours. Even though we scored a major victory at the imperial city, they still have many experts and more. They were unprepared the previous time, but now will be different. It will be a tough fight for us. Hearing this, the surrounding great emperors all nodded, their faces ever so serious. Even though they had destroyed the three emperors' world forces in the previous battle, they dared not let their guard down. The battle was too important. If they lost, the eternal chaotic world would be finished. According to what I know, the Blood Emperor Sanctuary Grounds has a space tunnel linking to outside domains. The three emperors' world experts have definitely sensed our arrival, yet they have not left. From the looks of it, they wish for a final battle against us here, Jian Wushuang said coldly. The Blood Emperor Sanctuary Grounds has been under the three emperors' world for the longest period of time. With the added formation, the grounds are not in our favor. But at this juncture, it is impossible for the three emperors' world forces to initiate the fight. In order to secure a victory, we need to wipe out their entire forces once and for all, Ancestor Tianqin said. If that is the case, let us fight. Emperor Bei's voice sent out chills. Send the message, attack head-on, and destroy the formation. Soon soul power surrounded the entire eternal chaotic world army. In an instant, the many experts, great emperors included, made their move. Waves and waves of powerful attacks, though not amplified with special formations, attacked in the same direction. Hung. A terrifying howl was let out. Within the Blood Emperor Sanctuary Grounds, the three emperors' world experts had already gathered the moment the eternal chaotic world army had arrived. The three emperors' world forces were originally no weaker than the eternal chaotic world. But after the battle at the three emperors' world, along with the raid on the three emperors' world, they had suffered heavy losses. The experts that had gathered at the Blood Emperor Sanctuary Grounds totaled no more than 3,000. Less than 3,000 Sir God and Emperor Gods. There were only 20-odd great emperors. Their strengths could not be compared to the eternal chaotic world forces. Hung. As the terrifying howl was let out, the three emperors' world experts' faces turned serious. Have they started attacking the formation? Kaiser Blood stood at the top and watched the formation shake in front of his eyes. The elixirs I gave you, all consume them now. Chapter 2164 Final Battle. At the Blood Emperor Sanctuary Grounds, the 3,000-odd experts held red elixirs in their hands. The pill was given to them by Kaiser Blood. Each of them had one. Kaiser Blood had only mentioned that it would be effective during the upcoming battle, but did not describe the exact effects. As the battle was about to begin, they hesitated as Kaiser Blood commanded them to consume the elixir. What are you waiting for? Consume it now. A low roar came from Demon King Chenyu, along with a terrifying aura. The three emperors' world's experts froze. They were not sure what the elixir would do exactly, but some consumed the elixir immediately out of worship and trust of the three emperors. The rest followed. Even the 20-odd great emperors consumed the elixirs one by one. Seeing this, Kaiser Blood and Demon King Chenyu smiled with satisfaction. Hong! An unprecedented roar could be heard. The surrounding array around the Blood Emperor Sanctuary Grounds was extremely solid. Even a third-stage great emperor would have difficulty bringing it down. But now, there were more than 4,000 eternal chaotic world experts attacking at the same time. Even without an attack superposition formation, a simple attack was already extremely formidable. After 2 waves, the array was about to collapse. Immediately, the third wave of attacks began. Pung! The array finally fell apart. Charge! Emperor Bei's grand voice echoed. Charge! Charge! The eternal chaotic world experts charged in like bees. The 3,000-odd three emperors world experts that had just consumed the elixir charged out, as well under the leadership of the great emperors. There were a total of 7,000-odd almighties in the battle, of which more than 50 of them were great emperors. They had collided head-on in the blink of an eye. The final battle that determined the life and death of each other's worlds had finally broken out. Hahadai. Abysmal Saint Master had morphed into a dark beast. His boundless darkness covered nearly 1/5 of the battlefield. The endless darkness formed several sharp spikes and pierced almost 10 experts, killing them instantly. At the final battle, Abysmal Saint Master and the other great emperors no longer cared for their statuses and used their full power. They killed everyone in their way, regardless of if they were Sir Gods, Emperor Gods, or Great Emperors. The same was true of the 3 Emperors World Great Emperor experts. Those great emperors tended to stick together on the battlefield. Not long after the Abysmal Saint Master charged into the battlefield, a beast-like bald man appeared in front of him. It was one of the second-stage great emperors of the 3 Emperors World, Ling Zong. You! Abysmal Saint Master's eyes were fixated on Ling Zong and smiled coldly. When I first saw you, I was only but a first-stage great emperor. Now, I have reached the second stage. Let's see how you handle me. After saying that, Abysmal Saint Master made his move. Suddenly, he was engaged in fierce combat with Ling Zong. On other battlefields, Underworld God, Red Dragon King, King Qinxing, Black Dragon Emperor, and other second-stage great emperors, along with many first-stage Eternal Chaotic World great emperors, were engaged in similar combat with the enemy great emperors. For the ordinary Sir Gods and Emperor Gods, their battle was even fiercer. Prepare the heaven-piercing arrows. Ancestor Tianchen suddenly issued the order. 3 ballistae appeared at the edge of the battlefields, along with 10 odd almighties to load the arrows. In an instant, the 3 heaven-piercing arrows were launched. At an incredible speed, the arrows struck 3 Emperors World Great Emperors. 2 great emperors were destroyed immediately. The other great emperor was left severely injured. Activate the Star God puppets. Prepare the Dragon Imprisoning Formation. With Ancestor Tianchen's command, the Eternal Chaotic World's trump cards were all used with the purpose of striking the 3 Emperors World, where it would hurt the most. Of course, the 3 Emperors World forces had their own set of trump cards. They simply had no time to prepare during the previous battle. Now is different. Bloodbone Dragon go. Howl. 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 A chain of ear-shattering roars could be heard from afar. 10 gigantic crimson dragons appeared, but only their exoskeletons could be seen. Then 10 gigantic crimson dragons each had a strong aura, and had the fighting power of a great emperor. There were 10 dragons there. Destruction Divine Weapon go. Hong. There were 3 loud bangs on the battlefield, and 3 behemoths descended from above. The 3 behemoths were in full black. They were human in black armor holding black spears. They were extremely large and thousands of feet tall. An aura so strong it could destroy the heavens exuded from the trio. The Destruction Divine Weapon was a weapon from the ancient era. Although the 3 divine weapons were of a low level, they minimally needed an early-stage chaotic realm expert to control it. Once controlled, the 3 Destruction Divine Weapons possessed the second-stage Great Emperor powers, therefore able to counter Jian Wushuang. Bloodbone Dragon, Destruction Divine Weapon. The 3 Emperors World were throwing out their trump cards as well. In fact, they had had more trump cards, but they had lost them at the previous battle. They were no longer able to retrieve them from the Imperial City. The decisive battle was fought intensely for days. The entire Blood Emperor Sanctuary grounds was in ruin. Even the ancient Blood Tribe's territory was affected. The aura released by many experts had already reached the ancient Blood Tribe's grounds. Fortunately, most of the tribe under the ancient Blood Emperors lead were brought to the edge of the ancient Blood Forbidden grounds, so they were not involved in that dark war. The internal battles of humans can get really intense. Ancient Blood Emperor stood there, sensing the aura and might that came from the battlefield. Even he was taken aback. Chapter 2165 Something. Not Rai at the void near the edge of the battlefield, Jian Wushuang, Emperor Bai, and Ancestor Tianchen stood side by side. Jian Yi stood behind Jian Wushuang. The 3 Emperors World has so many trump cards, not bad. Jian Wushuang looked at the 3 Destruction Divine Weapons from afar, and could not help sighing. This is even after we conquered the imperial city. Imagine what they could pull if we had not, Ancestor Tianqian said. The trump cards they possess now are comparable to ours, but ours beats them slightly. In terms of fighting strength, our side has the absolute advantage. Putting the trump cards aside, regardless of the Sir Gods and Emperor Gods battles, or the Great Emperor level duels, the eternal chaotic world held the absolute advantage, and that advantage was increasing consistently. There was a significant gap in the quantity and quality of experts on both sides from the very beginning. If the fighting continued, they would take no more than half a day to decimate the three emperors' world forces. It is too early to say. The three emperors' world leaders have not made their moves yet, Emperor Bai said. In terms of the highest third-stage fighting power, we are not as good as them. Ancestor Tianqian and Jian Wushuang nodded. Third-stage Great Emperor fighting powers. Only Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang possessed that in the eternal chaotic world. On the other side, the three emperors' world had Kaiser Blood, Lord Fun, Demon King Chenyu, and Ba Su, making it 4 people. Among them, Kaiser Blood's strength was estimated to be close to Emperor Bai's, and Lord Fun was definitely stronger than Jian Wushuang. It would be easier to handle Demon King Chenyu and Ba Su. Kaiser Blood's methods are unfathomable. Even I do not have absolute confidence in winning. If we were to really fight, I'm afraid he alone could keep me busy, Emperor Bai said. If I put in my best, I could block Lord Fun and Demon King Chenyu together. But it'll be hard. Ba Su's the weakest. Jian Yi, could you block him? Jian Wushuang looked towards Jian Yi. Jian Yi himself was at pinnacle second-stage fighting powers, and an ancient-era expert. I can try, Jian Yi said. We can think of ways to block these 4 third-stage great emperors. But there is one more person besides them, have you all realized? Emperor Bai asked. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned towards the void. A 5th figure stood there. In addition to Kaiser Blood, Lord Fun, Demon King Chenyu, and Ba Su, there was one more person. It was a veiled woman with a perfect figure. Lung Ruxue. Jian Wushuang's eyes flickered with astonishing sharpness, his gaze fixated on the only woman amongst the others. That Lung Ruxue seemed to have felt Jian Wushuang's gaze as well, and smiled at him. Something's wrong. Jian Wushuang's face sunk. What's wrong? Emperor Bai and Ancestor Tianqian looked towards him. Don't you feel that the 3 emperors' world leaders are too calm? Jian Wushuang asked. Too calm? Emperor Bai and Ancestor Tianqian frowned, and squinted at the leaders. Indeed, the leaders were very calm. All of them were indifferent, and one could not sense any form of anxiety from them. That's strange, the 3 emperors' world forces are about to lose at any moment. But they don't seem to be in a hurry. Ancestor Tianqian's eyebrows frowned. The battle concerned the life and death of the 2 camps. Jian Wushuang, Emperor Bai, Ancestor Tianqian, and the rest were anxious to defeat their enemy. They only hoped to defeat them. But Kaiser Blood and the rest? It seemed like they were in no hurry at all. You mean they don't care that they were losing? Or perhaps they had another trump card, Jian Wushuang said. The 3 emperors' world had carefully planned and prepared for so many years, their methods unfathomable. Maybe they have other trump cards that could turn the tables around. We must be careful. Emperor Bai looked coldly. Tianqian, send a message, get our army to be on their guard, even the great emperors as well. Understood. Ancestor Tianqian nodded his head and said, Rest assured, even if they have other tricks up their sleeve, so do we. We still have 3 emperor tokens unused. The emperor token was crafted by him personally, and contained a full blow. However, his power was too strong. The eternal chaotic world was simply unable to create a token that could contain his full blow. They could not even create one that could contain the full blow of a normal great emperor. Even if they managed to create one, there was still a high probability of failure within it. Therefore, there was almost no token with great emperor powers within the eternal chaotic world. The most they could do was to use some special treasures, sacrifice a great portion of great emperor divine power, and find another capable great emperor to guide the power. And only then could they barely create the token. Jian Wushuang had encountered similar attacks in the past, but it was nothing compared to the full blow of a great emperor. The fact that Emperor Bai was able to create the Emperor token was due to the 10 high-level tokens he had found in ancient battlefields. He had spent a long time experimenting, finally creating 3. The remaining tokens were wasted and destroyed. The 3 Emperor tokens are held by 2 Great Emperors and 1 Pinnacle Emperor God now. The 3 of them are separated into different corners of the battlefield as well, for them to use anytime they need to, Ancestor Tianchen said. Good, Emperor Bai nodded. But Jian Wushuang's face was still cold. He felt that there was more behind the calmness of the 3 Emperors' world leaders. Chapter 2166 Demon. At the void near the edge of the battlefield, the 3 Emperors' world leaders stood there indifferently, despite the position they were in. It is about time. The elixir should work now, Kaiser Blood murmured. It should start now, Lord Fen nodded. Their eyes contained a hint of expectation. At the center of the battlefield, HNGH, Abysmal Saint Master sneered, and turned into a headless giant in an instant, surrounded by boundless darkness. The headless giant held a large black spear. Under the Abysmal Saint Master's control, the black spear was thrown out. Hung! The void had been pierced to form a large hole, and terrifying power was heading for it. Scram! Abysmal Saint Master's opponent, the beast-like bald man Ling Zong, had turned into a real beast by now. His eyes were bloodshot with frenzy as he held a battle axe in his hands. The battle axe struck down with a swing, as if he were about to split the heavens. With a large bang, the black spear in the headless giant's hands started to fall apart. A great portion of the giant was reduced to darkness. What? Abysmal Saint Master was shocked. His abilities have improved? From the beginning of the battle, both had already demonstrated their full capabilities, and were on par in terms of power. But now, Abysmal Saint Master could feel Ling Zong exerting greater pressure on him. Without a doubt, Ling Zong's power had risen compared to in the beginning. Next, die, die, die. Ling Zong swung his axe again and again in frenzy. The power from within the giant axe was rising as well. Abysmal Saint Master's face darkened, and he did his best to block his attack. But he was struggling at every passing moment. What is happening? He's getting more terrifying. And it was not just him. All the experts of the eternal chaotic world, including the great emperors, could feel their opponents getting stronger. What is happening? Their powers are getting stronger, but not naturally. They must have used a treasure or elixir. Damn it! That great emperor was getting hooped by me a moment ago. Now he's on par on me, perhaps even stronger. The battlefield was being riled up. At the edge of the battlefield, Jian Wushuang, Emperor Bai, and Ancestor Tianchen were watching. The change in the strength of the 3 emperors' world experts were all caught in their eyes. The strength of those experts has begun to improve. Not only the great emperors, even the normal Sir Gods and Emperor Gods have improved significantly as well. What is going on? Ancestor Tianchen yelled. From the looks of it, they must have consumed some sort of elixir. But they are almighty level experts. Elixirs that can improve their powers in short periods of time are extremely rare. Furthermore, it seems like they all consumed it. But they did not consume any elixir in the battlefield. Emperor Bai frowned. Something's not right, Jian Wushuang suddenly said. What's wrong? Emperor Bai and Ancestor Tianchen looked over. Their eyes, they seemed to be losing their sanity, turning into demons, Jian Wushuang said. Emperor Bai and Ancestor Tianchen immediately looked towards those experts and were stunned. Indeed, they saw it as well. The fighting power the experts were displaying was much more powerful than before. And it was not stopping. Yet the look in their eyes was increasingly menacing, obviously losing their sanity as their powers increased. Many people had completely lost it, and were slaughtering each other. They could not differentiate friend from foe. At the center of the battlefield, die! A frenzied yell could be heard from far. A burly man whose eyes were completely red slashed his sword at the man beside him. He was attacking a fellow 3 Emperors world expert. Pooh! Blood was spattered. The victim's head flew straight off. This is... The 2 eternal chaotic world Sir Gods completely froze. They're killing their own people, they've lost it. Crazy. Have they lost their minds? Indeed. Many Three Emperors world experts on the battlefield had lost their minds. They could not tell friend from foe, wantonly killing each other. Some were holding on but barely. What is happening to me? The bald-headed man Ling Zong, as a second-stage great emperor, was able to keep his consciousness intact, but not for long. At that moment, he had the uncontrollable desire to slaughter everything in his path. The more he fought the urge, the faster the elixir's effects were stimulated. His sanity was disappearing rapidly. Even a second-stage great emperor cannot resist it? Abysmal Saint Master stood in front of Ling Zong, his eyes displaying a trace of pity. What a pitiful guy. Your leaders simply do not care if you live or die. Ah! A hysterical roar burst from Ling Zong's mouth. Second-stage great emperor Ling Zong had completely lost it. He swung his axe desperately towards Abysmal Saint Master. Under this state of madness, Ling Zong's abilities had improved significantly. His power was nearing pinnacle second stage. Die! 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 Crazy roars kept echoing around the battlefield. If even second stage great emperor Ling Zong had lost it, one could only imagine the other three emperors world experts. A terrifying slaughter was about to begin. Chapter 2167 Self-Explosion. Emperor Bai, order our men to retreat immediately. Ancestor Tian Chen yelled. It's too late. This battle is too intense, and our experts are spread out all over the place. It is impossible to retreat now. Jian Wushuang said. This was the deciding battle. One side had to die. Both sides were mentally prepared to fight till then end and defeat their enemies. The experts from both sides were spread out all over the battlefield. Under these circumstances, it was basically impossible for any expert to retreat unharmed. Furthermore, the experts from the Three Emperors world had entered a demonic state. They could not differentiate friends from foes. They became even more powerful, and attacked all they saw in a frenzy. Under the frenzied attacks, one would have to pay a huge price in order to back off. Jian Wushuang is right, it is too late to retreat. We should find a way to kill all of these demonic experts. They have entered a demonic state, and cannot think properly. We will exploit the fact that they cannot differentiate friends from foes, and make them fight amongst each other. Emperor Bai said coldly. Yes. Ancestor Tian Chen nodded his head as he gave the order. They are so fast. Quick, let's work together and defeat them. Let's not be so anxious about killing them. Keep our trump cards, and let these demons fight amongst themselves first. We will clean up after they are weakened. Protect yourself well, and do not act on impulse. Think clearly. The experts from the eternal chaotic world executed their plan immediately. The experts from the Three Emperors world, who had fallen into a demonic state, were extremely powerful. However, they fought head-on without any technique, and so they were destined to die. On the other hand, the experts from the eternal chaotic world merely worked with each other to keep themselves safe. The best plan for them was to allow the demons to fight among themselves. On the battlefield, the experts from the eternal chaotic world worked together as one. Under their influence, the experts from the Three Emperors world started to battle amongst themselves. The situation on the battlefield was once again under control. Is the situation finally under control? We shall wait for these demons to be severely injured. Then our men will attack and kill them all. Ancestor Tian Chen heaved a sigh of relief. It might not be that easy, Jian Wushuang said as he shook his head. Emperor Bai, who stood beside him, looked grim. No matter if it was Jian Wushuang or Emperor Bai, they weren't looking at the battlefield. Both of them were looking at the leaders of the Three Emperors world, who were standing at the edge of the battlefield. What are they trying to do? Emperor Bai wondered. They are really evil and heartless to make their subordinate fall into this demonic state, and kill others heartlessly. Jian Wushuang clenched his fist as a unique emotion flashed across his eyes. This was because one of the few leaders of the Three Emperors world was Lung Wuxia. This is probably their trump card. Ancestor Tian Chen said. There should be more than this. After all, there is no way they can win if they simply make their experts turned into this demonic state, and try to kill other people. They must be up to something. Jian Wushuang muttered. Kaiser Blood, Lord Fun and Demon King Chen Yu simply stood there coldly, as they watched their subordinates fight. The leaders of the eternal chaotic world are smart. They ordered their men to protect themselves, and will wait till our experts get severely injured before cleaning up the battlefield. Kaiser Blood smiled. Humph. They think that's all there is to our plan. Lord Fen smirked in disdain. As time passed, the demonic experts started to get stronger. Their power became even more violent and crazy. This power filled the entire battlefield. What followed was boom, boom, boom. The entire space was basically a storm of energy after the explosions. The radius of the storm was so large that many experts from the eternal chaotic world were caught in it. In an instant, at least 10 experts were dead, and many others got severely injured. This scene made the experts from the eternal chaotic world turn pale. Self-explosion. These demons chose to cast self-explosion? Oh no! Watch out! Boom! 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 What followed were numerous explosions as the sound made nearly deafen people in the immediate vicinity. One would only cast self-explosion only when one knew that they were definitely dead and wanted to do the most damage to their opponents. This would cause them to release a terrifying amount of energy and destroy everything in the way. In reality, everyone here was in the chaotic realm. They were top-tier experts that had cultivated step by step until they got where they were today. Unless there was no hope left, who would be willing to cast self-explosion? Furthermore, the power of self-explosion would be around twice the power of their strongest attack. The power would not be concentrated, and the amount of damage it could deal was limited. No matter if it was in the eternal chaotic world or the Three Emperors world, it was rare for an expert to cast self-explosion. However, the expert from the Three Emperors world, who entered the demonic state, had chosen to cast self-explosion one by one. The amount of energy within these experts was at the peak as the diving power raged violently. This caused the power of their self-explosion to be 10 times more powerful. For example, when a Sir God cast self-explosion, the power level would be around that of a top-tier Sir God. In their demonic state, a Sir God's self-explosions would be equal to an Emperor God. If an Emperor God chose to cast self-explosion, it would reach the power level of a great emperor. If a great emperor cast self-explosion, that would be even more terrifying. There were around 800 experts from the Three Emperors world, 10 of which were great emperors and hundreds of which were emperor gods. All of these experts had chosen to cast self-explosion under the demonic state. Devastating. Boom, 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 boom. The sound's explosion reverberated throughout the battle as divine power swept the entire battlefield. Those experts who were at the center of the battlefield were baptized by this wave of violent energy. Many shrill screams and yells could be heard everywhere around the battlefield. Chapter 2168 Tragic Death of Experts. At the edge of the battlefield, Jian Wushuang, Emperor Bai and Ancestor Tian, Chun looked at the battlefield, which was covered in a violent storm of divine power, and listened to the occasional sounds of explosions. All they could do was stare angrily and helplessly. They wanted to go and save the experts, but they knew they wouldn't make it in time. This battlefield was far too large. A minimum number of experts could be saved even if they tried. Large numbers of experts from the eternal chaotic world started to die right in front of their eyes. Emperor God Juxian, Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes and looked at him. Emperor God Juxian had tried his best to break through into the realm of Great Emperor by paying a great price to enter the heaven-repairing palace, but he had failed in the end. After the battle started, Emperor God Juxian fulfilled his promise and charged right at the front and fought in the center of the battlefield. 3 of the experts very close to him casted self-explosion. One of them was an ordinary Emperor God. One was close to the realm of Peak Emperor God, and the last was a Peak Emperor God. Emperor God Juxian and another Emperor God died immediately under the power of self-explosion. On the other side, the Almighties from the lineage of Star had gathered together. Amongst them were familiar faces. Hall Master Gu Exan, Emperor God Jiuyin, Emperor God Xianwu, and his lineal disciple in the realm of Sir God were in the battlefield. They had formed a battle formation and were fighting on the battlefield. A nearby Emperor God, Sir God, and a great emperor, who was not too far away, all cast self-explosion together. Some of the energy affected them. Under the overbearing energy, their battle formation fell apart. Oh no! Jian Wushuang turned pale. After the battle formation fell apart, the overbearing energy swept towards the experts from the lineage of Star. Even though the experts from the lineage of Star had tried their best to defend against the energy storm, Emperor God Jiuyin, Emperor God Xianwu and Hall Master Niyin had died instantly. On the other hand, Hall Master Gu Xian and He Xiu had barely survived but were severely injured. Jiuyin Niyin Xianwu. Jian Wushuang was devastated. All he could do was hold himself back. Emperor Bai and Ancestor Tian Chun were also doing the same. The same scene happened everywhere across the battlefield. Large numbers of experts had died under the self-explosion of the demons. There were great emperors among them. There were many great emperors from the three emperors' world who went into the demonic state. When these great emperors cast self-explosion, even great emperors found it difficult to defend against it. Yenzun. Jian Wushuang looked at a large man who had red skin. His holy body fell apart and died. That large man was one of the great emperors from Sanctuary Alliance, Yenzun. After Jian Wushuang had broken through to the seventh step of inverse cultivation, had fought Yenzun and severely beaten him up. They were both members of the Sanctuary Alliance and were allies. Now Yenzun was dead. Master Wu. Jian Wushuang looked at another man. It was Master Wu. He was not originally part of the Sanctuary Alliance. After the eternal chaotic world fell into a crisis, he joined the Sanctuary Alliance without hesitation and fought alongside everyone else. Even though his performance was not the best in this battle, he had tried his best. However, one of the great emperors had cast self-explosion about 10 meters away. He took on about 90% of that power and died immediately. King Zhansong. Jian Wushuang trembled. Not just the Human Sanctuary Alliance, the Special Tribes Alliance too were hit hard. King Zhansong was one of the 9-star ancient gods. Even though he had just broken through, he was extremely powerful, given the natural advantage that ancient gods had. Now he was dead. Every famous great emperor had incredible power and was very difficult to kill. Under the self-explosion of hundreds of experts from the three emperors' world, who were in the demonic state, almost everything was destroyed. It was difficult to defend against this overbearing momentum, even for great emperors. The cluster of self-explosions only lasted for a few seconds before it died down. The entire battlefield was left in an horrifying state. Violent divine power filled every single corner of the battlefield. It only started to dissipate after some time. Silence. The entire battlefield turned silent. Jian Wushuang, Emperor Bai and Ancestor Tian Chun all scanned the battlefield with their bloodshot eyes. At the start of the battle, the eternal chaotic world had had around 4,000 excerpts, while the three emperors' world had had around 3,000. But now there were only around 2,000 experts left alive. Every single expert from the three emperors' world, including great emperors, had died. The Stage 2 Great Emperor, Ling Zong, had also died as he had used self-explosion. The remaining 2,000 experts were from the eternal chaotic world. Compared to the number they started with, half of them had died. The remaining 2,000 experts who had survived were all weak and severely injured. It seemed that they could die at any moment. No one was in prime condition. Even people like Abysmal Saint Master, Red Dragon King, Underworld God, King Chen Xing and Black Dragon Emperor, who were Stage 2 Great Emperors, were severely injured. The Black Dragon Emperor had already been injured before the battle. She had participated in the battle before she had recovered, and was not in a terrible state. The other great emperor from her clan had sadly died. Every great emperor was severely injured. Bastard! Emperor Bai trembled as he squeezed these two words out of his mouth. Damn it! Jian Wushuang shook with anger as a terrifying killing intent erupted. Both of them looked at the space that the leaders of the three emperors' world stood in. Not just them, but Ancestor Tian Chun and the surviving experts from the eternal chaotic world looked up in anger. 5 people stood in that space. These 5 people were responsible for planning all this. Chapter 2169 Opposing Blood. Under the angry stares of the experts from the eternal chaotic world, the 5 people other than Ba Su looked cold. Hee. It seems that many people died. Kaiser Blood exclaimed as he gave a sadistic smile. The 3 emperors' world took so long to accumulate these experts. But now, Demon King Chinyu sighed lightly but looked indifferent. Back then we sacrificed so much to create this world. It was to prepare for this day. Even though these experts died, they should be at peace since they fulfilled their purposes. Lord Fan said, "You guys are really cruel." Lung Rushua said as she scanned those 3 men. "Cruel? Hee. Before you comment about us, think of who you really are. If your unique constitution was fully exploited, that destruction might be even greater than the one I have just caused." Kaiser Blood smirked. Lung Rushua squinted her eyes but said no more. "All right, Kaiser Blood. Is the amount of blood chi sufficient after so many sacrifices?" Lord Fan asked. "Humph. It barely met the requirements." Kaiser Blood smiled. Hearing this, Demon King Chinyu and Lord Fan were elated. "Looks like we can finally use that move." Lord Fan smiled coldly. On the other side, Jian Wushuang kept the expression of Kaiser Blood and friends in mind. When he saw the smile Kaiser Blood had on his face, he had a bad feeling about what was going to happen. What are these bastards trying to do? Jian Wushuang roared. To use a special method to cause his subordinates to turn into a demonic state, so that they become stronger and killed more people. They would eventually die, unknowingly, a painful death. This was an extremely inhumane act. At the same time, he knew that there had to be a reason why Kaiser Blood did that. There had to be more to it than just causing mass damage and pain to the army from the eternal chaotic world. There must be something else he was hiding, or he was preparing. Emperor Bai and Ancestor Tian Chen both looked dark as they also knew this. Right then whoosh, Kaiser Blood finally moved in front of all the remaining experts. He took a few steps and appeared at the center of the battlefield. The experts from Eternal Chaotic World had already retreated to the Ouyuthankserts of the battlefield behind Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai. On the battlefield, Kaiser Blood stood alone with his hands behind his back. He had a creepy smile. "Emperor Bai, Jian Wushuang, do you still remember what I said to you inside the Imperial City?" Kaiser Blood asked loudly. Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai both raised their eyebrows. They definitely remembered what Kaiser Blood had told them. "Haha, I said that I would prepare a surprise for both of you when we met again. How was it? Are the 2 of you happy with it?" Kaiser Blood smirked. Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai fell silent. Their killing intent started to rise. "Kaiser Blood, let us not waste time on useless talk. Do what you planned on doing." Emperor Bai said coldly. "Moves? Of course I have more up my sleeves. You will see soon enough." Kaiser Blood smiled playfully. The ground beneath him started shaking vigorously after he started laughing. "What is this?" The experts from the eternal chaotic world turned pale. "What is happening beneath the ground?" Jian Wushuang looked down as his soul power seeped deep into the ground. Soon he found the reason behind the shaking. Deep underground was a large blood-red formation. This formation rose up slowly. It was originally thousands of feet underground. Now it was less than 1,000 and still on the rise. Not long after, it was less than 100 feet from the surface. When did this formation appear? Jian Wushuang wondered grimly. This is an extremely bizarre formation. I used my soul power to scan the entire Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds, including deep underground. I did not realize that this formation was there. Emperor Bai said coldly. Emperor Bai was an inverse cultivator and the strongest expert from the eternal chaotic world. His fighting power was mysteriously powerful. The strength of soul was even greater than that of Jian Wushuang. Even so, he had not sensed this formation when he had scanned the underground of the Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds. The formation was well hidden. Hum. A loud hum came from underground as a large, blood-red formation emerged. This blood-red formation was saturated with blood qi. On closer look, this energy was in droplet form. No matter if it were Jian Wushuang, Emperor Bai or any expert who was good with formations, they could not tell what formation this was. What is this formation? I have never seen it before. An emperor god who excelled in formation cried out. This formation doesn't seem dangerous. But why do I feel so agitated? This is no ordinary formation. Discussion was made by the experts from the eternal chaotic world. The experts from the eternal chaotic world started to take it seriously. Emperor Bai, do you know why I created a Blood Emperor sanctuary grounds here? Do you know why I picked this place as the location for the final battle? Kaiser Blood said out loud. Emperor Bai widened his eyes as he exclaimed, was it because of this formation? Smart. Allow me to introduce this formation. This formation did not originate from the ancient past, or the eternal chaotic world. I created this formation, after over the years. I had never thought of a suitable name, but now I have one for it. It will be called Opposing Blood Formation. Kaiser Blood smiled. Opposing Blood Formation? Emperor Bai, Jian Wushuang, and the remaining experts finally understood the origins of the formation. It was no wonder they could not recognize his formation. It had been created by Kaiser Blood not too long ago, and it did not even have a name. However, they still did not know what the formation was used for. From the looks of it, it did not look good. Chapter 2170 Golden Armor Emperor Bai looked at the blood-red formation coldly and muttered, I do not need to know what this formation does. All I have to do is destroy it. As soon as he finished speaking, an incredibly powerful aura started to erupt. At this moment he took a step out. Boom! An endless ocean of golden divine power surged out and covered the entire sky. The battlefield turned into a large golden divine power sea. Emperor Bai was located at the center of this ocean, as a 10,000-foot tall golden shadow appeared behind him. The giant golden shadow hovering over the battlefield was majestic and made people feel dread when looking at it. Within moments, Emperor Bai appeared in front of the blood-red formation. He clenched his fist and harnessed the power of the endless divine power sea within his hands. Haha, Emperor Bai. Do you wish to destroy the formation? You'll have to pass me first. Kaiser Blood laughed as he blocked Emperor Bai before he could attack the formation. I shall kill you first, then I will destroy the formation. Emperor Bai said in a dominant way. Emperor Bai punched his fist, which was encompassed in divine power, at Kaiser Blood. This punch immediately made a gigantic hole in the sky. The aura was so terrifying that the experts from the eternal chaotic world widened their eyes. As the most powerful man from the eternal chaotic world, how strong could Emperor Bai? They were seeing it with their own eyes. The aura really is terrifying. If that is the case. A flash of seriousness went across Kaiser Blood's eyes as he pointed with his finger. Instantly, a large amount of blood-red light surged as a giant statue of a divine demon appeared. This statue was even larger than the golden shadow behind Emperor Bai. It radiated an ancient aura. A few deep bell sounds were heard as the hands of the statues moved. One hand turned into a fist while the other hand turned into a palm. The blood-red fist, which contained an enormous amount of power, dropped from the sky as it punched out. It felt like it could destroy everything in its way. The palm turned large as it covered the entire sky, including the divine power sea. The fighting power of Kaiser Blood was clearly seen there. In the air, Emperor Bai collided with the large statue head-on. Boom! 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 9 loud collisions were heard. Each of these collisions made the divine power and the blood-red energy explode outwards in all directions. These energies turned into a storm that strangled everything in its way. At the center of the storm, where the two men fought, the space turned into nothing. An area of void was formed. In that void 2 figures stood tall. The aura of Emperor Bai was still overpowering. The golden light from the golden shadow became even brighter, as the dense divine power sea surged even more. As for Kaiser Blood, his gigantic statue was much less intimidating compared to Emperor Bai. You are worthy of being called the strongest man in the eternal chaotic world. I have already displayed the fighting power of a top-tier stage great emperor, but I still lost to you despite you having weaker understanding of rules of order. It must be because of your incredible inverse cultivation. Kaiser Blood smiled. Emperor Bai did not speak, as he looked at the blood-red formation behind Kaiser Blood. During the short exchange of blows with Kaiser Blood, the aura that radiated out affected the formation. However, the formation was completely unaffected. It seemed like the formation could not be destroyed with just the aura emitted during a fight. Emperor Bai, you must really want to destroy this formation. But you will not be able to do it. Even though I am weaker than you, I can still stop you from doing what you want. Kaiser Blood mocked. Is that the case? Emperor Bai raised his eyebrows. At that moment, the divine power sea started to collapse on itself and covered Emperor Bai. His body started to grow to 100 feet tall. His large body was surrounded by a thick layer of golden light. This golden light was like extraordinary golden armor. The moment it appeared, the overpowering aura Emperor Bai had started to skyrocket once again. Golden armor? This is the 9-star armor from one of the secret skills that the 7-star Black Sect had. You successfully cultivated this secret skill? Furthermore, you cultivated the golden armor scripture? Even Kaiser Blood was shocked when he saw the golden armor that Emperor Bai was wearing. He was originally an expert from the ancient past. He had participated in the great battle of the ancient past and was very knowledgeable about secret skills. On the ancient battlefield there were countless experts. However, the main character of that battle was 7-star Black Sect. 7-star Black Sect had been one of the superpowers from back in the ancient past. This kind of superpowers had many extremely powerful secret skills. The secret skill of 7-star was a famous secret skill. This secret skill of 7-star was only one of most powerful secret skills the sect had. 9-star armor was another secret skill on par with secret skill of 7-star in terms of power level. It was one of the secret skills that could make the experts from the ancient past go crazy. It was a pity that this secret skill was incredibly valued by the leaders of the sect. Besides some core disciple, no one had the chance to learn it. There was no talk at all about this skill, as it was kept top secret. However, Emperor Bai had managed to successfully cultivate 9-star armor and reached the level of golden armor scripture, which was high level. Humph. I want to see if you can still stop me. Emperor Bai grunted as his battle power reached a whole new level. If his power level had been between stage 3 and stage 4 previously, his power level now was definitely of a stage 4 great emperor. Fight! Emperor Bai roared in anger as he continued the attack. No matter his aura or momentum, both reached an even higher level. Seeing this, Kaiser Blood turned pale. In the space not too far away, Lord Fan squinted his eyes before charging into the battlefield to assist Kaiser Blood. Chapter 2171 Rematch with Demon King Chenyu. Emperor Bai was in golden armor and stood there in the space in front of the blood-red formation. He had reached the fighting power of a stage for great emperor. He displayed his terrifying combat power and suppressed everything around. It was extremely difficult for Kaiser Blood to stop Emperor Bai alone. Hence Lord Fan had stepped up to help him. Lord Fan was surrounded in a special aura, which allowed it to have peak stage 3 great emperor fighting power. It seemed that he had cast a secret skill, which allowed him to stop Emperor Bai together with Kaiser Blood. Even though Emperor Bai was powerful, he could not spare any attention to attack the opposing blood formation. The opposing blood formation was running slowly, as its radius increased slowly. Jian Wushuang and everyone around noticed this. Emperor Bai was stopped. We need to find a way to stop the opposing blood formation. Ancestor Tian Chen said. Tian Chen, do you still have the Emperor token? Jian Wushuang asked. Emperor token? Ancestor Tian Chen was stunned. The Emperor token that contained the power of an attack by Emperor Bai? We used 2 just now to save some lives against the experts from 3 Emperor's world, who went into the demonic state. We are only left with 1. Ancestor Tian Chen said. Pass me the last Emperor token. Jian Wushuang said. Roger. Ancestor Tian Chen nodded his head. The final Emperor token was passed to Jian Wushuang. Be careful. Ancestor Tian Chen warned. Yes. All of you should take this time to recover. Jian Wushuang said. Abysmal Saint Master, Ancestor Tian Chen, Underworld God and the remaining experts nodded their heads. Even they as great emperors were severely injured after the self-destruction of the great emperors from the 3 emperors' world. Even though they had already drunk elixirs, it was impossible to reach their peak again in a short period of time. However, their peak fighting power was not needed. All that was needed was their normal fighting power. There were more than 2,000 experts and several great emperors. A stage 3 great emperor also could not stop so many experts if they allied together. Jian Wushuang held the emperor token in his hand and felt the terrifying power inside. Jianyi, let's go. Jian Wushuang moved. Jianyi followed him closely. Both of them speeded forward. They were not headed to the battlefield. Emperor Bai, Kaiser Blood, and Lord Fun were in. They skirted the area and headed for the opposing blood formation. The opposing blood formation was their target. Even though Jian Wushuang did not know where the formation originated or its functions, he was becoming more and more uncertain as the opposing blood formation continued to run. No matter what, this opposing blood formation had to be destroyed. Right when Jian Wushuang moved, Demon King Qinyu rushed over immediately. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two figures burst forth. They were Demon King Qinyu and Basu. Lung Rushua stood there motionless and was not moving. Jian Wushuang, if you want to destroy the formation, you will have to pass through me. Demon King Qinyu yelled as he attacked Jian Wushuang. Basu stared at Jian Wushuang with emotions raging through his eyes. He wanted to kill Jian Wushuang as badly as Demon King Qinyu did. Jian Wushuang ordered Jian Yi to stop them immediately. Your opponent is me. Jian Yi stopped Basu in his tracks and said coldly, a mere stage 2 great emperors dares to stop me? Die! Basu yelled as he started his fight with Jian Yi. Jian Yi used all of his might to stop Basu. In terms of realm, he was at a disadvantage. Basu was a legitimate stage 3 great emperor. Even though he had barely made it into stage 3 and was not powerful compared to his peers, he was still much stronger than any stage 2 great emperor. On the other hand, Jian Yi was just a peak stage 2 great emperor. However, Jian Yi came from the ancient past and knew certain special techniques. He could not be compared to any stage 2 great emperors. Even though he was completely suppressed by Basu, if it was not possible to kill him within a short period of time, Jian Yi kept Basu occupied as Jian Wushuang focused his attention on Demon King Qinyu. Jian Wushuang, you will not advance anymore since I am here. Demon King Qinyu erupted in size as 8 arms grew out of his body. Each of his arms held a different type of divine weapon. What a joke! Jian Wushuang mocked Demon King Qinyu. The first time he fought Demon King Qinyu, Demon King Qinyu was far stronger than him. All he could do was to run away. The second time they fought at the Heaven Repairing Palace, he was only at a slight disadvantage. He was slightly stronger than Demon King Qinyu when they fought at the Imperial City for the third time. But now this was their fourth time. Jian Wushuang had managed to control the legitimate Hongjun Golden Sword, and hence was even stronger than before. Furthermore, he no longer needed to hide certain techniques and could use them. Piss off! Jian Wushuang yelled as he cast Blast Rainstorm, using his Blood Mountain sword. As the sword light appeared, the 7 Hongjun golden swords burst forth at the same time. 7 golden beams flew incredibly quickly, and each had the power of an attack by a stage 3 great emperor. Demon King Qinyu swung one of his arms, and just managed to block the sword lights. Right then, the 7 Hongjun golden sword appeared in front of him. Humph! Demon King Qinyu grunted as all of his arms swung the weapons they were holding outwards. Clang! 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 Following 7 loud collisions, the terrifying force pushed Demon King Qinyu back. This brat! Did the power of his Hongjun golden swords really get stronger? Demon King Qinyu knitted his eyebrows in thought. In the next moment, the 7 Hongjun golden swords which he had deflected away trembled in mid-air, before they dashed towards him once again. The speed was the same as before. Damn it! Demon King Qinyu cursed. He knew about the power of the Hongjun golden swords. They were incredibly fast and powerful. He knew clearly that Jian Wushuang could beat him in a head-on fight, just by using these 7 swords. Furthermore, Jian Wushuang possessed incredible close combat abilities and swordsmanship. Chapter 2172 Golden Light Scripture Whoosh! 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 The The 7 Hongjun golden sword turned into golden light and striked out at its target once more. Jian Wushuang fully used his sword principle combined with the terrifying speed and power of the Hongjun golden sword. This completely suppressed Demon King Chunyu. He tried his best to fight back, but realized he could not even take a breather as the 7 Hongjun golden sword attacked him over and over again. Jian Wushuang had a cold look. During the battle, he was paying close attention to the changes in Demon King Chunyu. About there, a flash of intense emotions flashed across Jian Wushuang's eyes. Immediately, he slashed out once again with his sword. Demon King Chunyu used a bat in one of his hands to block this sword. Right when he deflected the sword, he realized that Jian Wushuang's eyes had released an eerie light. Within Jian Wushuang's body, the soul-swallowing pearl that he had refined long ago started to churn crazily. A surging soul power gathered and was amplified by the soul-swallowing pearl before it burst forth towards Demon King Chunyu. All he saw was a bolt of golden light flying towards him. This flash of golden light was not made of Hongjun golden sword. It was the result of Jian Wushuang channeling his soul power to cast a soul attack secret skill. Jian Wushuang used the soul attack secret skill he had received from Emperor God Zhu Xian. 3 divine lights. 3 divine lights was separated into 3 scriptures: Golden Light Scripture, Foggy Light Scripture and Nether Light Scripture. Jian Wushuang cast a single target secret skill from the Golden Light Scripture. This beam of golden light was too fast and originated too close to Demon King Chunyu. Even Demon King Chunyu found it difficult to react to the attack. By the time he reacted, the golden light had entered his body. This is soul attack? Demon King Chunyu turned pale. He never knew that Jian Wushuang could cast soul attack. This was normal. Ever since Jian Wushuang became an almighty, he had never casted any soul attack. Even after his soul power had skyrocketed after refining the soul-swallowing pearl and obtaining powerful soul attack secret skill, he had hidden it carefully. It was because a soul attack at the Great Emperor level could turn the tide of any battle. Jian Wushuang had planned to cast his soul attack secret skill on the masses and kill many of the experts from the 3 Emperors' world in order to gain an advantage for his own forces. He had not expected that the experts from the 3 Emperors' world would enter the demonic state and start killing everything around them crazily. His soul attack had no use at all. Now that all of the ordinary almighty from the 3 Emperors' world and Great Emperors were dead, there was no longer the need for him to hide his soul attack secret skill anymore. Hence, he cast it straight away, back when Jian Wushuang had been refining the soul-swallowing pearl. His soul power had skyrocketed and reached the peak of a Stage 1 Great Emperor. He could even threaten Stage 2 Great Emperors with his soul attacks alone. After he returned to Sanctuary Alliance, he had continued to take in different types of elixir and other treasures, allowing his soul power to reach the level of a Stage 2 Great Emperor. His soul attack now was completely unmatched. Is that a holy object? At the same time that Jian Wushuang cast his soul attack, Basu was shocked before turning devious. Bastard! This brat managed to refine the holy object? How is this possible? How can he refine the holy object in such a short amount of time? Basu looked at Jian Wushuang incredulously. The soul attack Jian Wushuang had cast contained the aura of the soul-swallowing pearl that had originated from the Sky-swallowing clan. Under the sudden intrusion by the golden light, Demon King Chunyu found it extremely difficult to defend against the soul attack. He stopped in midair and trembled. His face was twisted with excruciating pain. Jian Wushuang took this chance and headed towards the opposing blood formation. Demon King Chunyu could not stop him this time. This formation poses a great threat to the forces of the eternal chaotic world. Let me destroy it. Jian Wushuang thought as a terrifying sword essence was felt. This sword essence was utmost and upmost. Right then he morphed into an emperor. He held the emperor's sword. Instantly, sword light rained down on the formation. Emperor sword principle second style. Boom! The terrifying sword light struck the blood-red formation under the clear view of the experts from the eternal chaotic world. Immediately, the large amounts of sword light collided with the formation and tried to twist it into powder. Moments later, the sword light dissipated. When everyone looked over again, They realized the formation had merely stopped running for a moment before continuing expanding. My attacks are useless? Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes unsurprised. This opposing blood formation had taken Kaiser Blood a very long time to create. He had sacrificed the lives of many experts just to get the formation running. When it finally started to run, he knew it would be extremely difficult to stop the formation. Jian Wushuang took a step forward and shattered the Emperor's token in his hands. Once the Emperor token shattered, the limitless energy burst forth towards the formation under the guidance of Jian Wushuang. Boom! It felt like the world was ending. The terrifying power impacted the opposing blood formation continuously. The aura was many times stronger than the second style of Emperor Sword principle. Emperor token had been handmade by Emperor Bai. The power within the Emperor token was equivalent to one attack by Emperor token. An attack by Emperor Bai was clearly much stronger than an attack by Jian Wushuang. The aura continued to spread in all directions. Around the battlefield, the experts from the eternal chaotic world, including Jian Wushuang himself, stared into the blood-red formation. Everyone had hope in their hearts. Will this formation be destroyed? Jian Wushuang thought grimly. A long hum was heard as the aura and divine power dissipated, and everyone could see the space once again. In space, the opposing blood formation was still running. It seemed that an attack from Emperor Bai had not managed to disrupt the running of this formation. Chapter 2173 Blood Red. It failed. Looking at the perfectly running formation, the experts from the eternal chaotic world fell silent. Jian Wushuang also knitted his eyebrows and did not want to believe what he was seeing. Right then, Jian Wushuang! A loud yell came from the surrounding space. It was Demon King Chunyu, who had managed to break free from the soul attack and appeared behind Jian Wushuang. Demon King Chunyu's eyes were burning with anger as he roared at Jian Wushuang. Brat! If it weren't for the restrictions this heaven and earth has on my soul power, do you think your soul attack could affect me? He was one of the remaining experts from the ancient past. His realm was far above the chaotic realm. However, due to the restrictions the heaven and earth had, his power had been restricted to that of an ordinary peak great emperor. The restrictions this heaven and earth had was not just on power. It also had restrictions on the soul power and holy body. This was why Emperor Bai could hurt him, and Jian Wushuang could affect him with his soul attack. If he had been at his prime, Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang could not have done any harm to him, even if he just stood there. Demon King Chunyu stared at Jian Wushuang angrily, while the latter did not even bother to look at him. Jian Wushuang was still staring at the opposing blood formation. Even the attack from Emperor Bai himself could not affect this opposing blood formation. The only way possible to destroy this formation was to allow Emperor Bai to attack this formation with full force without any distractions. However, Emperor Bai was preoccupied by Kaiser Blood and Lord Fun. He cannot focus on the formation. If I use that move, I might be able to destroy the formation. But that move, Jian Wushuang thought grimly. He had several trump cards. One of the trump cards was the secret skills of Star Palace. He had managed to cultivate the third scroll of secret skills of Star Palace. He could make his attacks 1,000 times stronger. With his current power level, he could destroy the formation if he used the secret skills of Star Palace and Emperor Sword principle, as this would enable his attacks to be even more powerful than those of Emperor Bai. However, he had just used secret skills of Star Palace not too long ago. He had used the secret skill back at the Imperial City within the Three Emperors world. That was about 100 years ago. It was not easy to cast secret skills of Star Palace, especially the third scroll. He needed 1,000 years before he could cast the same secret skill again. Within the short 100 years, he had yet to recover much star power, hence was unable to use this secret skill. Hence, this was not a possibility anymore. On the other side of the battlefield, Emperor Bai, Kaiser Blood, and Lord Fun stopped fighting. Kaiser Blood and Lord Fun were not in good condition. On the other hand, Emperor Bai was still ready to go. Jian Wushuang? This brat really has many trump cards. He has already displayed many techniques and skills. I never thought he would still have the soul attack trick up his sleeve. Even Demon King Chen you could not fend it off in a short amount of time. Kaiser Blood turned and looked at Jian Wushuang. Luckily, the opposing blood formation absorbed so much blood qi from the experts that it became very sturdy. He does not possess the ability and power to destroy the formation. He almost ruined my plan. Emperor Bai looked dark. He kept everything Jian Wushuang did in mind. Jian Wushuang had done everything almost perfectly. He had cast Soul Attack at the right time, and created a chance for him to attack the opposing blood formation. However, when he saw that the attack from the Emperor token he had created causing no damage to the formation, his heart sank. Kaiser Blood, what are you trying to do? Emperor Bai yelled. Do you want to know? Very well, I shall let you see. The formation is about ready. Time to start. Kaiser Blood laughed coldly. It's starting. Lord Lung and Demon King Chen Yu looked excited. Haha. Opposing blood formation start. Kaiser Blood laughed as his voice reverberated through the battlefield. Under his guidance, the formation started to rise and float towards the sky above. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang's heart sank, as he felt even more uncertain of what was about to happen. Sadly, he could not do anything about it. There was no way he could stop the opposing blood formation. Even Emperor Bai was helpless in this situation. Emperor Bai had already attacked, but Kaiser Blood and Lord Fan stopped him together. The experts from the eternal chaotic world were all weak, and had almost no fighting power in them. All they could do was watch the opposing blood formation rise up into the sky. Finally, the opposing blood formation reached the top of the sky. Within moments it fused with the sky. This formation fused with heaven and earth. The experts were all confused. Jian Wushuang knitted his eyebrows tightly. When he used his mountain river map, it was too fused with heaven and earth. However, this formation was completely different from the mountain river map. After this opposing blood formation fused into the heaven and earth, it completely disappeared, only leaving a small blood-red vortex in the middle of the sky. Just when everyone was confused, from the small vortex, a surging blood-red light swept out in all directions. This blood-red light was like an endless river, as it spread out in all directions. Within moments, the entire sky of the Blood Emperor Sanctuary grounds was completely covered, but the spreading did not stop. This was not the end. In fact, this was just the beginning. The Blood-Red River did not face any obstructions as it spread to all the territories and regions outside of the Blood Emperor Sanctuary ground. 3 Emperors World, 12 states, 84 God Mansion and 3,300 territories. How far and wide could it spread? As the river spread, every single territory, region and state was covered by it. Within moments, this river filled every corner of the 3 Emperors World. The entire 3 Emperors World turned blood red. Chapter 2174 Frenzy. Under the Crimson, lie the sudden change of events, rocked the entire 3 Emperors World. What is happening? The sky turned red. Crimson light covers the sky. This is not a good sign. Countless 3 Emperors World cultivators looked up towards the sky. The sky was completely blanketed in a layer of crimson light, as if it were wearing a red robe. The crimson light was extremely seductive as well. Within the Blood Emperor Sanctuary grounds, the chap's crimson light covered the entire 3 Emperors World? What is this Kaiser Blood thinking? Ancestor Tianqin said. The Eternal Chaotic World Army had purged a bulk of the 3 Emperors World, but many of their experts remained to watch what had happened. He knew firsthand about the crimson light covering the entire 3 Emperors World. Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang's faces were darkened at the sight of it. They were increasingly uneasy. For that Kaiser Blood, with that devious smile of his, no one knew what he was thinking. Haha, the slaughter commences, Kaiser Blood said coldly. Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang's face darkened. The two of them looked around their surroundings, but did not notice any difference. But somewhere within the 3 Emperors World, at a village deep in the mountains of a normal domain, a braided girl, aged around 11 or 12, was staring at the sky above her. Daddy, look, the sky changed color, it changed color, the little girl said. A plain-robed, middle-aged man walked out of the hut behind the girl, puzzled by what she was looking at. What is this? The middle-aged man murmured. His gaze started to change. At that moment, the girl beside him turned and bit the man's torso. The middle-aged man could not avoid it. A chunk of his flesh was bitten off. "Hunger, what are you doing?" the middle-aged man shouted in pain. And then he realized. His daughter's face was completely twisted. Her bright eyes were no more, for they had turned bloodshot, full of mania. She pounced on the middle-aged man once again, as if she had lost her mind. The middle-aged man's pupils were turning crimson red as well. Not long after, the man started fighting to the death with his daughter. Soon, he had killed the girl with his own bare hands. Afterwards, the frenzied man pounced on others. He had lost his mind. And it was not just him. The entire village had lost their minds. They were slaughtering each other. They had completely lost their sanity, slaughtering everyone at sight. The once peaceful village was now bleeding. At another prosperous domain. The domain contained many families. The strongest of them was the Duanmu family. The Duanmu family had many experts, almost 20 chaotic realm experts. But as the battle between the eternal chaotic world erupted, the chaotic realm experts had all lost. All that remained were the real gods and sector gods. Even the chaotic real gods were gone due to the eternal chaotic world's raid. The experts of most families were now generally eternal real gods. Despite that, the Duanmu family was still regarded as the king of the domain. At that very moment, the real gods of the Duanmu family had gathered to watch the sky above. "Something's wrong," the purple-robed elder murmured. The purple-robed elder was a pinnacle eternal real god, now considered the strongest within the family. "Not the sky, something's wrong with that crimson light," another eternal real god beside him murmured. Suddenly, my lord," a panicked void real god rushed over. The void real god's eyes were bloodshot. "What happened?" The purple-robed elder frowned. "My lord, the clan is in a mess. The disciples have started slaughtering one another. Many of them are already dead," the void real god said. "What?" The purple-robed elder and others were taken aback. "Come, let's go see," he said. But by the time the purple-robed elder reached the scene, he drew a cold breath. Duanmu family was in a bloodbath. Countless disciples, including the servants, were engaged in the slaughter. The slaughter saw no friend nor foe. Everyone was simply killing one another. There were several Duanmu disciples that charged towards them as well. "They've all gone mad," the purple-robed elder was bawling. His eyes were turning red as well. At that moment, the void real god that had delivered the message had turned as well. Without hesitation, he charged towards the elder. "Damn it!" The purple-robed elder had made his move as well. As the Duanmu family real gods entered the battle, the slaughter only turned more intense. All the Duanmu family real gods had fallen, including the purple-robed elder. They were surrounded by endless slaughter. It did not just happen to the Duanmu family, but every single corner of the Three Emperors' world. The crimson light covered the entire Three Emperors' world. Under the crimson light, every single domain and cultivator under the Three Emperors' world had lost their sanity and joined in the slaughter. The crimson light was glaring, which made it even more attractive. The Three Emperors' world, under the crimson light, had instantly turned into a hell on earth. Chapter 2175 Hell on Earth. Insane! They have lost their minds. The Three Emperors' world people have all lost it, killing everyone in sight. There are so many dead. Countless cultivators in my city have slaughtered each other. All are dead. The messages were being sent to Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai as soon as they could. With the crimson light covering the Three Emperors' world, countless cultivators, real god or sector god, could not resist it. Being powerful simply slowed the time of transformation. But the crimson light barely affected the Almighties, and the Almighties of the Three Emperors' world were not affected either. But they saw what the Three Emperors' world experts had done. "Assholes," Emperor Bai shouted. "Worse than dogs." Jian Wushuang had his eyes dead on Kaiser blood. He had never wanted to kill another so badly in his life. He had already witnessed Kaiser blood sacrificing all those experts for his own personal objective, activating the opposing blood formation. That alone disgusted Jian Wushuang and the others. But what Kaiser blood was doing outdid everything else. Previously, He was only targeting the chaotic realm and above experts. But now Kaiser Blood's claws have stretched to all the cultivators within the Three Emperors world. Most of them were weak, innocent cultivators. But there were millions and millions of them. Amongst the normal cultivators were newly born infants and strong-willed youths. Even Jian Wushuang treated the enemy with mercy, only taking out the high-level experts of the Three Emperors world. The eternal chaotic world had no intention of attacking anyone below chaotic real God. Even the enemies treated them with mercy. But as the leader of the Three Emperors world, Kaiser Blood's actions had sincerely enraged Jian Wushuang and the others. With the crimson light covering the Three Emperors world, countless cultivators were slaughtering each other. The Three Emperors world had turned into a hell on earth. Such demonic measures. If I took down Kaiser Blood now, would the formation stop? Jian Wushuang asked. No way. Emperor Bai shook his head. The formation is already in place. The cultivators have all turned into demons. Even if we took down Kaiser Blood now, there would be no way to save the cultivators anymore. Nothing would change even if the formation stopped. Furthermore, it was easier said than done taking down Kaiser Blood. If Emperor Bai could have, he would have done it already. If I had destroyed the opposing blood formation earlier. Jian Wushuang's face sunk in despair. He had tried his best. But despite all efforts he had failed. Emperor Bai took a deep breath. But he was much calmer than Jian Wushuang. Emperor Bai was an expert from the first era. He had seen much worse than Jian Wushuang. He had witnessed too many disasters in his lifetime. When the first era collapsed, countless cultivators fell. That was much scarier than what was happening in the Three Emperors world. Emperor Bai had seen it all. Even though he felt pity for what was happening in the Three Emperors world, it was no more than that. In front, Kaiser Blood, Lord Fun, Demon King Qinyu, Lung Ruxia and Basu stood side by side. Amongst the five, Kaiser Blood, Lord Fun and Demon King Qinyu had no pity for the cultivators of the Three Emperors world at all. Lung Ruxia had that wicked smile on her face still. Basu was petrified, however. And he even regretted joining the Three Emperors world forces at that moment. Even though the Three Emperors world made him more powerful, the things Kaiser Blood and the rest had done scared him. Kaiser Blood, how is the progress? Lord Fun asked casually. It is going as expected. No cultivator below chaotic realm can resist it, and have all started slaughtering each other. The more they slaughter, the more blood chi they offer to me. About 30% of the cultivators have died already. Kaiser Blood was smiling deviously, as if the 30% were no more than ants to him. 30%? How's the blood chi then? Lord Fun followed. Not bad. Once they all die, the blood chi should be enough, Kaiser Blood said. The opposing blood formation was a sinister formation he had spent ages crafting. The energy source of the formation was boundless blood chi. How had he gained it? From the endless slaughter of others. When the cultivators of the Three Emperors world self-destructed, the blood chi he gained from them helped him to get the formation working. But that was only the beginning. If Kaiser Blood wanted to truly activate the formation, he needed much more blood chi. That was how the crimson light had started to cover the entire Three Emperors world. The endless slaughter brought boundless blood chi for the formation. 40%, Kaiser Blood said. That was only a moment after. It only took a moment of time to turn from 30 to 40%. How many millions of cultivators had died in that instant? How terrifying was that speed? Die. Only one word came from his mouth. So much rage and anger could be felt from within his sentence. Kill them all. Jian Wushuang was equally pumped up. They could not stop the formation, but they would not stand back. Chapter 2176. A little more. Another great battle had begun. The battle was not only fought by Jian Wushuang, Emperor Bai and Jian Yi. After composing themselves, the eternal chaotic world experts used all methods they knew. Everyone linked up and swore to kill the Three Emperors world leaders. Kaiser Blood and the others naturally resisted to the best of their abilities. But even as the battle began, the opposing blood formation could not be shut down. 50%. 60%. Oh, 70%. Kaiser Blood smiled. He was consistently mentioning it as he fought Emperor Bai. Every time he spoke, the faces of Jian Wushuang and others darkened. An hour passed. Within the hour, Emperor Bai tried to attack the void above, straight for the formation's core where the crimson spiral was. Unfortunately, he was unable to slow it down. One leader of the three emperors' world, Lung Wuxia, stood from afar. They did not fight back. Lord Fun, Demon King Chen Yu and Ba Su were severely wounded under the combined attack of Emperor Bai, Jian Wushuang, Abysmal Saint Master, Underworld God and others. Especially Lord Fun. He had already used up special methods in order to activate his pinnacle third stage fighting power. Now Emperor Bai found an opportunity to hit him hard, and he ended up severely wounded. Kaiser Blood was suppressed by Emperor Bai but was not truly injured. Kaiser Blood, is it not done? Lord Fun shouted. He was at his limit. If it were to drag on any longer, he could be wiped out by Emperor Bai. It is done. All life should be wiped out, except for the chaotic realm experts. Kaiser Blood smiled. His smile was like a light breeze, but everyone around him was completely shocked. Dead? Everything? Jian Wushuang murmured. He was trembling. His days of cultivating had not been long, and he had not witnessed many destructive scenes. Even though the Dark Millstone had crushed countless nations and cultivators of the three emperors' world back then, Jian Wushuang had not seen it for himself. It was through a projected image. But this time, although he had not witnessed the slaughters with his own eyes, he felt it personally. It lasted for almost an hour. Countless cultivators of the three emperors' world died in suffering. Jian Wushuang could not accept it. Yet the three emperors' world leaders were elated. All dead. What about the formation's blood qi? How's that going? Lord Fun, Demon King Chen Yu and Ba Su were beside Kaiser Blood. Lord Fun and Demon King Chen Yu were waiting with anticipation. A pity the blood qi. Less than what we had expected, Kaiser Blood said. Less. Lord Fen's face changed. What then? We have killed almost all creatures in the three emperors' world. The only way to obtain more blood qi is to take down those eternal chaotic world experts. But from the looks of it, it'll be tough. Demon King Chen Yu frowned. They were already at a disadvantage. At that juncture, it was almost impossible to bring any more harm to the eternal chaotic world experts. It's hard, so what I am about to do may put you all on the spot, Kaiser Blood said suddenly. Lord Fun froze, and his pupils shrank sharply. Before Demon King Chen Yu and Ba Su could react, the two divine beasts were already on those two bloody palms. Those two bloody palms smacked Demon King Chen Yu and Ba Su directly on their foreheads. Their abilities were far inferior to those of the Kaiser Blood, and they had sustained severe injuries, and were not prepared at all. Pung! Pung! Two groans rose at the same time. Their heads were shattered by the shock without a trace of struggle, and soon turned quiet. Lord Fun, realizing what he had seen, rushed to the void beside. Haha, trying to escape? No way. Kaiser Blood laughed, and those bloody palms came for Lord Fun. Kaiser Blood, you. Lord Fen's face changed. He had never expected Kaiser Blood to do something to them. Sacrificing their lives for more blood qi? Lord Fen struggled at the sight of the palm. But after an hour of fighting, Lord Fen's aura was the weakest. Kaiser Blood used everything he had with his endless blood power against Lord Fun, binding him. Lord Fun had no chance of escape. No! A hysterical growl came from Lord Fun. Lord Fun struggled in despair, eyes fixated on Kaiser Blood. In the end, he was killed ruthlessly by Kaiser Blood. In the blink of an eye, Lord Fun, Demon King Chen Yu and Ba Su were all dead. They were all third-stage great emperors. Naturally, their blood qi was richer. The blood qi had been completely absorbed. This, Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai watched everything in horror. They had never expected Kaiser Blood to be that ruthless. After sacrificing all their experts from all over the three emperors' world, had he killed his own fellow leaders for more blood qi? Ba Su meant the least to him amongst the three, but Lord Fun and Demon King Chen Yu had followed him from the ancient era all the way. They were his companions. But in order to fully accumulate the blood qi needed, he had killed his companions ruthlessly. Lunatic! Emperor Bai raged. Oh no! Jian Wushuang's face changed. There was one more leader of the three emperors' world who Kaiser Blood had not laid his hands on yet. It was Lung Wuxia. Now, after cutting down Lord Fun, Demon King Chinyu and Basu, he appeared in front of Lung Wuxia. Chapter 2177 Blood Emperor Lung Wuxia stood silently at the edge of the battlefield. She had yet to make her move since the battle had begun. After Kaiser Blood slayed Lord Fun, Demon King Chinyu and Basu, he was heading for her. Lung Wuxia's face darkened, but showed no sign of retreat. Xiao. Kaiser Blood appeared in front of Lung Wuxia, his crimson eyes staring straight through her. You intend to take me as well, Lord Kaiser Blood? Lung Wuxia's voice was indifferent as she raised her head. As she raised her head, a special mark appeared between her brows. Her pupils turned white, with no trace of blood. Her long black hair turned white in an instant, swaying with the wind. She gave off an unprecedentedly destructive aura. The aura was so strong even Jian Wuxuang, an emperor by from afar, could not help but be startled by it. This is... Jian Wuxuang frowned. It was the first time he had seen Lung Wuxia in that form. White-haired, gray-eyed, the power to destroy heavens. The unique situation was scarier than when Lung Wuxuang took over that body and released the sins of its past life. Kaiser Blood twitched at the sight of Lung Wuxia's gray pupils. Fear could be seen in Kaiser Blood for the first time. The heavenly body is indeed a quality worthy of both envy and detest. Rest assured, I will not attack you for the sake of your backing. I do not have a death wish, and I have enough opposing blood chi for my opposing blood formation anyway. Kaiser Blood smiled lightly. One could not tell if he was telling the truth or not. Lung Wuxia gave a cold glance to Kaiser Blood and said nothing. Girls, step aside. I am unable to guarantee your safety if you happen to be within my area of attack, Kaiser Blood. Lung Wuxia waved her robe, and just like that her devastating aura was nowhere to be sensed. She was now in a further void, with no intention of meddling in the upcoming formation. Kaiser Blood turned around and looked towards Emperor Bai and Jian Wuxuang. After years of thoughtful planning, have I finally reached the last step? Kaiser Blood murmured, but did not conceal his thoughts. Hearing that, Emperor Bai and Jian Wuxuang's faces darkened. They knew that the three emperors' world had spent years preparing. The war had been ignited upon discovery of it by the eternal chaotic world. The battle had already sacrificed all the experts under him, even killing his own comrades. He had to have a motive. Was the motive finally about to be revealed? My body no longer serves its purpose at this stage. Let me show you the real me. Kaiser Blood chuckled as his body turned increasingly transparent, turning into nothingness. The eternal chaotic world experts were all shocked. Disappeared. Kaiser Blood's gone? What's happening? Everyone was confused. Yet at that moment, boom, the earth trembled fiercely, leading to a huge fissure in the already horrendous ground. The fissure seemed to be ripped open by hand and widened at an alarming rate. Instantly, it became a huge gully. Below the gully, a terrifying aura was gradually awakening. This is... Jian Wuxuang and Emperor Bai's faces changed. Even they could feel how terrifying the aura was. Soon, a figure stepped out of the gully and emerged above the void. I am restored. After so many years, finally, ha ha ha. His frenzied laughter was like rolling thunder. The laughter contained an endless violent aura that alone made countless eternal chaotic world experts tremble from within. Jian Wuxuang and Emperor Bai had their eyes dead on Lord Fun. He was 3 meters long and had scarlet skin all over like a human-shaped blood figure. The blood human had well-defined muscles and was exuding endless violent aura. He had a human skull, but with unique black tattoos all over him. He looked extremely terrifying. The tattoos, the figure, it's a blood clan expert. Emperor Bai's pupils narrowed. Blood clan? Jian Wuxuang asked. By that moment, Jian Wuxuang had already learnt quite a bit regarding the ancient events. The ancient era had countless experts, like 7-Star Black Sect. He was a superpower of his time. 7-Star Black Sect's status in the ancient era is equivalent to ancient god clan amongst the special tribes. But there were many other forces to be reckoned with other than 7-Star Black Sect. For example, the 3 big holy lands, 4 big holy tribes and 8 big holy sects that collaborated to attack 7-star Black Sect were impressive forces as well. Jian Wushuang had heard of the Blood Clan from Jianyi. It was part of the 4 big holy tribes, alongside the ancient clan. They had crowned the 4 big holy tribes for their unique and horrifying bloodline power. Jian Wushuang himself understood how strong bloodline power could be. But he had only inherited the bloodline. There were many skills he could not perform. But even relying solely on the power generated by the bloodline power, he had seen a great improvement in his powers. In front of Jian Wushuang was the real deal, a Blood Clan expert. "You are Kaiser Blood?" Emperor Bai stared at the Blood Clan expert. The Blood Clan expert calmed himself down and glared at Emperor Bai. "Kaiser Blood? No. I am the Blood Emperor, ruler of the Blood Clan. Kaiser Blood was simply a figment of my consciousness." "Consciousness embodiment?" "Indeed it is," Emperor Bai mumbled, but he was not surprised. Chapter 2178 Chaotic Divine Demon. Although easily guessed, Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang's faces were still extremely dark. Blood Emperor, the Emperor of the Blood Clan. His status alone was proof of his capabilities. Although Jian Wushuang knew there was more than one Blood Emperor, and he may not have been the strongest back in the ancient era, but without a doubt, he was one of the top experts. It could be easily identified by his consciousness embodiment. If even his consciousness embodiment was so strong, one could only imagine his true capabilities. "Blood Emperor, you sacrificed so many people for you to wake up?" Emperor Bai looked Blood Emperor dead in the eye. "That's right," Blood Emperor smiled. "The battle back then was too intense. I was too weak to carry on. So I slept. And with everything I could I conjured a consciousness embodiment, for him to help me awaken once more. For the people that I sacrificed, no more than a group of ants. Not just the normal cultivators. Even Lord Fun and Demon King Chen you are only ants. Their biggest accomplishment was dying for me." "Ants?" Jian Wushuang's face darkened. "Do you think you are any better?" Emperor Bai said coldly. "Blood Emperor, so what if you have awakened? Do not forget, you are no longer in the ancient era. Your powers are capped at chaotic levels. Here, I am the ruler." Emperor Bai's voice was cold and with endless authority. As he finished, Emperor Bai made his move. Hung Long Long. The shiny golden armor was still on him, and the golden shadow behind him seemed more aggressive. As Emperor Bai took his first step, he appeared in front of Blood Emperor and clenched his fist. The void in his palm burst and spread at an alarming rate. In an instant, the void became a spider web spreading across miles, making space rifts everywhere. The explosive power in Emperor Bai's hand, with the help of the Amor, burst immediately, like a volcano. Emperor Bai, the strongest of the era. He had demonstrated everything he could. But the Blood Emperor simply smiled indifferently at the sight of Emperor Bai's punch. There was a hint of contempt. He did not even move. He stretched out his right hand. No, it was just a finger. The finger did not perform any secret skill. It just pointed forward casually. Under the gaze of countless experts around, the crimson finger collided with Emperor Bai's fist. Boom, a low voice resonated, spreading divine power in all directions. At the very core of the battlefield, under the gaze of countless experts, the finger and fist collided. Emperor Bai's power was enough to turn any opponent to despair. But the fist was casually blocked by the Blood Emperor's single finger. Despite having that much power, the Blood Emperor did not move at all. Not even his finger. How could that be? The surrounding experts gasped in disbelief. Even Emperor Bai himself was stunned. The Blood Emperor laughed sinisterly. Amid the laughter, a large crimson fog charged towards Emperor Bai. The mist covered everything, instantly surrounding Emperor Bai. In the crimson fog, a crimson palm appeared. The crimson palm seemed to have torn through the void, arriving directly from the ancient era. The moment it appeared, the experts around glared at it in horror. That power! Even Jian Wushuang was surprised. He could tell that the crimson palm had completely overpowered great emperors. That level of power, no great emperor could ever possess it. Pung! The crimson palm went head-on with Emperor Bai's fist. HNGH! Emperor Bai let out a hum. Blood was streaming from the corner of his lips, himself being forced to retreat. After regaining his footing, Emperor Bai stood up once again, his aura returning to pinnacle levels. Interesting, I obviously did damage to you, but you managed to recover almost instantly. I'm getting more and more curious about your inverse cultivation. Blood Emperor laughed casually. Inverse cultivation allowed one to reach perfect chaotic holy body, once the seventh step had been achieved. As long as there was divine power, they could recover instantly using divine power, regardless of the severity of injury. That was the power of inverse cultivation. Your powers. Emperor Bai started at the Blood Emperor. Jian Wushuang, and all the experts of the eternal chaotic world stared at the Blood Emperor. You must be confused. How do I perform powers beyond chaotic realm levels despite the restrictions on this grounds? The Blood Emperor laughed sinisterly, looking at Emperor Bai, Jian Wushuang and the rest. It was like a cat playing with a mouse. Is it due to that opposing blood formation? Jian Wushuang said. Haha, smart, Blood Emperor smiled. You really thought the opposing blood formation I spent so many years preparing for was only to wake me up? You underestimate me. The true usefulness of the formation is for me to override the restrictions. Even though the formation has only covered the three emperors' world, and the blood chi only helps to control the restrictions by a bit, it already gives me that little bit of leverage I need against you. Now I am not at peak chaotic realm levels. I am the chaotic divine demon. Chaotic divine demon. Those simple words were enough to shock Emperor Bai, Jian Wushuang and others who realized what that meant. In the ancient era, there were so many experts of chaotic realm levels, they were not really considered experts. At the pinnacle ancient era, there were many experts beyond chaotic realm levels. Above it was the chaotic divine demon. Chapter 2179 Power Suffocates, a Chaotic Divine Demon. Emperor Bai watched Blood Emperor, his face cloudy and uncertain. As the strongest expert in that era, he knew the most about the ancient era. So he was well aware of the almost insurmountable gap between the chaotic divine demon and the chaotic realm. If it was a normal chaotic divine demon, Emperor Bai could have fought it out with his seventh step inverse cultivation and other tricks up his sleeve. But Blood Emperor was the strongest of his ancient era. The fact that he could still exert chaotic divine demon level powers meant that he should have been pretty formidable amongst other chaotic divine demons. The opposing blood formation, the Blood Emperor can override the restrictions? Crap. Emperor Bai was in despair. The Blood Emperor teased and said, chaotic divine demon levels are nothing when compared to my full power, but it's more than enough to eradicate all of you. Next up, I'm going to kill you all one by one, and find a way to get my formation, to cover your eternal chaotic world, and kill every single cultivator there is. With that level of blood chi, I should be able to restore my true powers. They could not help but recall the scene of the death of countless three emperors' world cultivators. If that happened at the eternal chaotic world, asshole, Emperor Bai's eyes were bloodshot. He must die regardless of the cost. Jian Wushuang was determined. Haha, it is you all that will die. Blood Emperor laughed heartily and made his move. Before he had simply stood there countering Emperor Bai's attack, and even that had hurt Emperor Bai. But now, the Blood Emperor had taken the initiative. He was like a ghost, disappearing in front of the eyes of many. Even Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai could not find him with their soul power. The next moment Blood Emperor reappeared. But he was not going for Emperor Bai. He was going for Jian Wushuang. He appeared right in front of Jian Wushuang. You sabotaged so many of my plans previously. You will be the first to die. Blood Emperor looked at Jian Wushuang coldly. Watch out! Emperor Bai hurriedly roared. Jian Wushuang's face sunk, and immediately large amounts of divine power could be seen emerging from him. Xiao, 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 xiao. 7 golden streaks burst out, and went straight for the Blood Emperor. Hongjun golden swords? If you perform the second form, perhaps that would pose a threat, but only the first form? Only 7 streaks? That's nothing. The Blood Emperor dismissively waved his finger. The 7 Hongjun golden swords seemed to be devastated simultaneously, and flew out at faster speeds. Even the golden shimmer on the swords faded. Soon, a boundless crimson fog swept directly from the Blood Emperor and surrounded Jian Wushuang. Within the crimson fog, streaks of red flowing light came from nowhere and flew straight towards Jian Wushuang like spikes. The dense red flowing light was amazingly fast. Jian Wushuang waved his Blood Mountain sword and performed his mixed elements spirit swordsmanship in a desperate attempt to resist. But he could only block some of it. Others struck his divine body directly. His body had the 5-gem armor, an immemorial celestial body protecting him. Normal attacks, even from a third-stage Great Emperor, would not create much damage. But the streaks of red blood-like flowing light, each streak of light containing the power of a peak third-stage Great Emperor, was too much for Jian Wushuang. At least 100 streaks of light hit him directly. Even Jian Wushuang could not resist. Instantly, Jian Wushuang's divine body started to collapse. The crimson fog covering Jian Wushuang dissipated as well. The many eternal chaotic world experts all stared at the void in horror. The void was empty. No one was there anymore. Only some divine power aura remained. Sword Emperor. Is he dead? How is that possible? All the eternal chaotic world experts could not believe their eyes. The Sword Emperor was second to Emperor Bai in the eternal chaotic world. Jian Wushuang was a legend to them. His growth and rise were astonishing. The previous clashes with the Three Emperors world had all been blocked by Jian Wushuang. Their respect and fear for Jian Wushuang were no less than Emperor Bai. Such an existence was instantly wiped out by the Blood Emperor? That level of strength was simply suffocating. But was Jian Wushuang really dead? Something's not right. An exclamation was made by someone. They immediately looked towards the void. The originally empty void now had a large concentration of divine power within it. In a moment, that figure appeared again in front of everyone. It was Jian Wushuang. His body reformed once again, his aura still intact. Xiao. Once he had finished reforming, he immediately retreated, getting some distance from the Blood Emperor. This Blood Emperor is so strong. Even Jian Wushuang had a trace of a tremor in his heart at that moment. He was indeed too strong, simply suffocating. Even with his divine body, he had been obliterated in an instant without any room for struggle. Even though he had managed to recover with the help of his perfect chaotic holy body, he had already consumed 30% of his divine power. Reaching the second part of his 7th step inverse cultivation had allowed his divine powers to be stronger than ever before. Even if his body collapsed in an attack, his divine power would sustain him for about 7 or 8 recoveries. But being struck by the Blood Emperor had cost him 30% of his divine power. Meaning to say, his divine body could only last 2 more hits. Of course, he still had the 7 treasure divine elixir Emperor Bai passed to him. He had not found any use of it till now. The 7 treasure divine elixir would allow his divine body to recover a few more times. Chapter 2180 Emperor Bai and the Blood Emperor. Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang stood side by side in the middle of the battlefield. The Blood Emperor stood not far away, arms crossed. There was a trace of surprise on his ferocious face. I had completely destroyed his holy body, but he recovered all the same. Interesting, this inverse cultivation of yours. Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang had their serious faces on. It was no understatement to call them immortal, after having obtained the perfect chaotic holy body via the 7th inverse cultivation step. Under normal circumstances, Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai would never have exposed their powers. But now their hands had been forced. Jian Wushuang, this is not a battle you can win. Step to one side, Emperor Bai said. Jian Wushuang flinched, but he could do nothing. It was true, Blood Emperor was too strong for him. If not for his perfect chaotic holy body, he would have died. Emperor Bai, can you face him alone? Jian Wushuang asked. I don't know, but I have to try. Emperor Bai replied solemnly. Jian Wushuang frowned but said no more, and retreated to the nearby void. So you intend to fight me alone? Are you even worthy of fighting against me? Blood Emperor laughed. Emperor Bai said nothing, but the golden armor on him shined more brilliantly than normal. At the same time, A unique power swept out of his body, covering him. The power was Star Power. Emperor Bai had practiced secret skills of Star Palace as well. The secret skills of Star Palace is one of his strongest trump cards, and he intended to use it directly. HNGH. A sneer was made, and Emperor Bai made his move once again with the help of Star Power. The gigantic golden shadow behind him started glowing. A large fist was raised, instantly becoming a golden sun. The golden sun was dazzling, glaring. Everyone's gaze could not help but be attracted by it. Blood Emperor looked up as well, and squinted slightly. 7-star Black Sect? Secret skill of 7-star? Haha, it is a good secret skill. But you lack the ability. You will only multiply your powers by reading the first script. What would that do to me? Blood Emperor had a hint of contempt in his words. He gave a direct slam. The slam was followed by an ancient bell resonating around. A gigantic crimson divine demon appeared out of thin air. Different to his consciousness embodiment. The divine demon had completely formed, and destructive aura way beyond chaotic realm levels could be easily felt. The huge palm smacked. It smacked against the golden sun. Pung! With a loud bang, everything fell quiet. Endless power stirred the heavens and earth, forming a storm of divine power like never seen before. The storm swept everything around it. Jian Wushuang and the other eternal chaotic world experts had retreated far from the battlefield. Yet the storm was so strong that they could barely open their eyes. At the core of the storm of divine power, Emperor Bai's face was awfully white. Once again, he held on to brutal power in his hands. Instantly another giant golden sun was formed. Punch after punch formed golden suns, bombarding the enemy like mad. Each punch enough to destroy a great emperor. Yet Blood Emperor was still not taking it seriously. Now he used both palms. Each of his palms, like enormous crimson mountains, blocked the golden suns entirely. Within a breath, Emperor Bai and Blood Emperor collided about 10 times. Xiao! Xiao! Emperor Bai burst back into retreat, whereas Blood Emperor took a step back as well. You made me move. Blood Emperor looked at Emperor Bai once again, and smiled coldly. Guess I need to take you a bit more seriously. Saying that, he flipped his palm, and a demonic crimson spear appeared in his hands. The spear exuded terror itself. The density of its aura was stronger than any divine weapon Jian Wushuang had ever come across. Without a doubt, the spear meant death. The Blood Emperor had never used a divine weapon, even as his consciousness embodiment. Now he took out his crimson spear. Come, Emperor Bai, let's try this again. Blood Emperor smiled faintly, and threw out his spear at lightning speeds towards Emperor Bai. It looked normal, the spear. But the moment he thrust out, a large crimson vortex appeared out of nowhere, swallowing everything in its path. Even a good great emperor would be devoured in an instant against such a vortex. Emperor Bai used both of his hands. Wong! Another large golden sun appeared out of thin air once again. Regardless of size or presence, the golden sun was much stronger than ever before. The collision between the golden sun and the crimson blade was not as dramatic as expected. Only the sounds of dense forces being pushed around. Emperor Bai's face suddenly darkened. A terrifying force passed through his arm, causing him to retreat. Haha, the Blood Emperor was not affected at all, and went straight for Emperor Bai. His crimson spear did not stop. Each thrust was fast beyond imagination. No one around could catch up with that speed. The crimson spears kept coming. It was hard for Emperor Bai to defend while retreating, a complete mess. Not long after, his body was stabbed several times. Though the holes were soon repaired, Emperor Bai was indeed being suppressed. After the secret skills of Star Palace, increasing his powers tenfold, Emperor Bai is still being suppressed? Jian Wushuang and the other eternal chaotic world experts were in dismay. He held his blood-red spear and took a step. He walked forward slowly. Each of his steps placed pressure on the experts from the eternal chaotic world. He liked to see the look of desperation on the faces of his enemies. Blood Emperor got closer to Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang with each step. Under the huge pressure, the look on the experts from the eternal chaotic world turned even crazier. Be prepared. Jian Wushuang said coldly, as his voice reverberated in the ears of every expert from the eternal chaotic world. The experts from the eternal chaotic world were prepared to die. They were prepared to sacrifice themselves by casting self-explosion and causing the most damage to Blood Emperor. Right before the Blood Emperor was about to attack, he stopped in his tracks. He halted and turned his head in other directions. Looks like an interesting guy is here. Blood Emperor squinted his eyes as a glimpse or seriousness replaced the playfulness in his eyes. Jian Wushuang and the others realized as they too looked in that direction. A figure in the distance. He was the size of an ordinary human. He wore a clean snow-white cloak. He had a cold and arrogant vibe as his tall figure stood tall in space. He radiated no aura, just like a cloud of air. It did not feel like he belonged to this place at all. However, this man had eyes that showed he could disregard everything to stand up to even heaven and earth. He stood there motionless and quiet. However, it was like he was the focus of the universe. Even after reaching the chaotic divine demon realm, Blood Emperor could not cover this man's presence. He is. The experts from the eternal chaotic world all stared at this figure who had just appeared. It's him! Abysmal Saint Master exclaimed as his eyes widened. It was as though he was looking at the scariest man in the world. Abysmal Saint Master felt fear like never before. He could never forget this man, his eyes and his sword. That man was his nightmare. When Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang saw the man, they were excited. This man who had just appeared was Emperor 13. Chapter 2182 Arrival of Emperor 13. Emperor 13, an expert from the ancient past. He was a mysterious man, and no one knew for sure how powerful he was. Back then, during the battle during the lineage of Star, the darkness from Abysmal Saint Master had disappeared with just a simple stare. One simple slash had destroyed Abysmal Saint Master's body armor and almost killed him. After fighting head-on with Emperor Bai, he had forced Emperor Bai back with a simple sword. And that was simply a consciousness embodiment. But now this was the original body of Emperor 13. The original body had come personally. Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai were excited. Even though they were clueless about the true identity of Emperor 13, they deduced he was on their side from his previous actions. Emperor 13 reached the center of the battlefield in front of Blood Emperor. His looked at Blood Emperor coldly and indifferently. Even the Blood Emperor shook when he met the gas. It was cold and arrogant, disregarding everything and everyone around. It was as though to Emperor 13, Blood Emperor was nothing more than air. Blood Emperor was angry, but helpless when he saw that gaze. Emperor 13 had been one of the most powerful men back in the ancient past. He was top 5 in terms of power level during the battle on the ancient battlefield. On the other hand, Blood Emperor was, even though he was an emperor from the Blood clan, there were 6 emperors from the Blood clan. He was the weakest out of the 7. He was incomparable to the great Emperor 13. Back in the ancient past, he would have run without hesitation when he saw Emperor 13. But now it was different. Emperor 13, I have heard from Demon King Chinyu that you are in the same state as me. Your original body fell into a deep sleep, and only your consciousness embodiment is around. It does not seem like the case. Now your original body is awake? Blood Emperor squinted his eyes and stared at Emperor 13. The great battle of the ancient past was too horrific. Many of the experts from the ancient past were severely injured and had fallen into a deep sleep. Furthermore, the stronger one was, the longer they would sleep, and the harder it was for them to wake up. If not for the opposing blood formation, who knew how long Blood Emperor would take to wake up? However, Emperor 13, back then, during the battle, your injuries were much lighter than the others. It is normal for you to wake up after such a short period of time. The Blood Emperor continued. Emperor 13 stood there coldly, not saying a word. It was like he did not hear Blood Emperor at all. Seeing this, Blood Emperor's face twitched. Just like in the myths, you really are quiet. Back in the ancient past, Blood Emperor did not meet Emperor 13 before. But he had heard of his quiet nature. He rarely spoke. Even if he did, he would not speak rubbish. Even if he spoke, he went straight to the point. Emperor 13, what do you want to achieve in coming here? Blood Emperor stared at Emperor 13 nervously. Emperor 13 looked up as a glint of killing intent flashed across his emotionless eyes. Killing you. Two simple words came out of his mouth as it radiated out in the battlefield. Immediately after he said that, he attacked. A sword appeared in his hands. Back at the lineage of Star, Emperor 13 used his fingers as swords and managed to defeat Emperor 13 with just his consciousness embodiment. Now, Emperor 13 took out a sword. This sword looked simple yet sharp. It only radiated death. It seemed like an ordinary sword. Once this sword was drawn, the Blood Mountain sword in Jian Wushuang's hands trembled. Jian Wushuang could feel a different emotion coming from the sword. There was some terror in it, but more of unyielding. It was the first time Jian Wushuang had felt this kind of unique emotion coming from the Blood Mountain sword. Emperor 13 swung the sword towards the space where Blood Emperor was in casually. The swing was so casual, it looked like it contained no power at all. Similarly, there was no divine power nor sword essence felt. However, the moment the sword started swinging, boom! Heaven and earth was shocked as the heaven and earth at the center of the battlefield exploded. A large crack appeared as it enlarged at an unbelievable pace to an astonishing size. 1,000 feet. 10,000 feet, 100,000 feet, 1,000,000 feet. It ended up being 1 trillion feet long. The moment the crack appeared, everything including space-time, air and every element there was disappeared. In this space there were no elements. There was only a sword light. It was dim and inconspicuous. On a normal day, this sword light would not attract any attention at all. However, this sword light was the only remaining substance left in this space. It turned into the one and only for all eternity. This is that sword skill. Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang stared at this sword light in disbelief. Both recognized this as the sword skill that had defeated Emperor 13 back then. The only difference was that this sword light was even stronger and more breathtaking. Everyone was breathless. Everyone was staring at that sword move. As for Blood Emperor, his attitude was completely different. Before, he had been almighty, proud and treated Emperor Bai and Jian Wushuang as though they were his playthings. This was the same even after Emperor Bai casted secret skills of Star Palace. But now, he was deadly serious when he was dealing with the sword skill that Emperor 13 had cast. When the dim sword light appeared in front of him, the blood-red spear in his hands moved. Boom! A ray of crimson light pierced the sky as the space behind the Blood Emperor turned into 18 Azura Hell. The endless sea of red was out of place in this world. Blood Emperor became the absolute emperor in this sea of crimson red. His thrust his blood-red spear out. The moment the blood-red spear moved, deafening roars could be heard from within the sea of crimson red. It was as though the souls and remains within the sea of crimson red were angry and expressing their unwillingness to resign themselves to their fates. Chapter 2183 Leader of the Seven Stars. Under the horrified looks of everyone around, the weak but eternal sword light collided head-on with the blood-red spear. Boom! A deafening sound was heard. The entire Three Emperors world trembled and threatened to collapse under the pressure. At the edge of the sky, the sea of blood-red dimmed as the souls in the sea of crimson red fell silent. Sword light started to disperse in all directions. Whoosh! Whoosh! A figure appeared far in the distance as he steadied himself. This red figure was Blood Emperor. As for Emperor 13, he stood there coldly with an ordinary and dim sword in his hands. Emperor 13 has the upper hand. Emperor Bai raised his eyebrows in relief. That is right. Jian Wushuang clenched his fist and replied. The experts from the eternal chaotic world were elated. After the short exchange of blows, the sword light from Emperor 13 dispersed the sea of crimson red and forced Blood Emperor back. Everyone knew that Emperor 13 had the absolute advantage. Back then, Emperor 13 only used his consciousness embodiment to fight me, and I felt he was strong beyond belief. He was the reason why I believed that stage for great emperors existed. Now it looks like he is much stronger than even I had imagined. Emperor Bai said seriously, even though this is the case, it is still too early to be happy. Jian Wushuang said. It was true that during the short exchange just now, Emperor 13 had the upper hand. One exchange was not sufficient to conclude the power level of Emperor 13 and Blood Emperor. Most importantly, even though Blood Emperor had been suppressed during that fight, he was smiling in an elated manner. His smile got wider and wider. At the end he burst out laughing. Ha ha ha. His laughter reverberated in the battlefield. Experts from the eternal chaotic world could not understand why he was laughing, as he was obviously at a disadvantage during the battle just now. Only Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai had a bad feeling of what was about to happen. After Blood Emperor stopped laughing, the way he looked at Emperor 13 was completely different. He had had a serious and fearful expression before. After all, Emperor 13 had been far too terrifying back in the ancient past. He had no confidence in going up against Emperor 13, after all those years of living fearfully about Emperor 13. After that short exchange of blows, he had gained the confidence to fight Emperor 13 head-on. Emperor 13, I thought that you were still that leader of the 7 stars back in the ancient past. The man who could force experts to submit to you, and have the power to stand up to even the master of the Holy Land. If it was back then, I would have retreated without hesitation if I ever ran into you. But now, under the restriction by the heaven and earth, you are only in the chaotic realm. Even if you have incredible techniques, you can't use them. Under these circumstances, what are you going to beat me with? At this point, the fear that Blood Emperor had was gone. In its place was desire. The desire to kill Emperor 13. Emperor 13 was a high and almighty man. To Blood Emperor, what else could be more exciting than to kill Emperor 13 with his own hands? Hearing what Blood Emperor had said, Emperor 13 was still emotionless and had no changes at all. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai were stunned. From what Blood Emperor had said, they picked out a lot of information. First and foremost, Emperor 13 was one of the peak superpowers back in the ancient past. Second, Emperor 13 was a member of the 7-star Black Sect. 7-star Black Sect, leader of the 7 stars? A man who can make everyone else submit, and even challenge the master of Holy Land? Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. He did not understand what it meant to be the leader of the 7 stars. Nor did he understand how powerful Master of Holy Land was. But he could deduce that Emperor 13 had been one of the superpowers back in the ancient past. At least in front of the Emperor 13, the Blood Emperor was nothing. Even the Blood Emperor admitted that he had no courage to stand up against Emperor 13, and would retreat whenever he saw him. Haha! Die, Emperor 13! Blood Emperor roared with laughter and excitement. Blood Emperor attacked. He took a casual step out, but that step was so fast that no one from the eternal chaotic world could see it that clearly. An endless sea of crimson red spread out once again. Before this, the sea of crimson red had only appeared behind the Blood Emperor. Now it covered the entire heaven and earth. Everyone could feel the strong killing intent coming from the sea of crimson red. Emperor 13 stood at the center of the sea of crimson red, indifferent as ever. He slashed out with his sword once more. The same casual movement, but this time, it was a sweeping action. The sword light created had no aura at all. However, the sword light created a large hole in the sea of crimson red. This hole started to enlarge as it tore the entire sea of crimson red, revealing the endless dark void. Emperor 13 then flicked his wrist. He thrust his sword forward again. A sword light burst forth. This sword light was not dim and weak. On the contrary, it shone brightly. It was so bright that most people could not even open their eyes. In the move before, the move had been extremely dim. Now it was extremely bright. They were on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Far in the distance, the experts were shocked and curious at the bright sword light. There was no one in the direction that Emperor 13 had slashed his swords towards. Who was he targeting with this slash? Right when this question popped up in the heads of the experts, a blood-red figure appeared under the illumination of the bright sword light. This figure became the target for the bright sword light. Everyone around took a cold breath, as they were all amazed by the incredible techniques Emperor 13 had. If not, even so, it is more than enough to kill you. Emperor 13, There is no way you can destroy the boundless sea of blood, while you are a mere chaotic realm expert. Prepare to die. Never have I thought that a man that could stand up to even the master of Holy Land would die in my hands. Ha ha ha. Blood Emperor roared with laughter, looking as though the death of Emperor 13 was inevitable within his sea of blood. Blood Emperor would tremble with excitement whenever he had the thought that the almighty Emperor 13 would die in his hands. That was Emperor 13. During his prime, the strongest leader of the Blood clan could barely go up against him. There were not many such superpowers back in the ancient past, and now one was going to die by his hand? Once Emperor 13 died, all the treasures he had would fall into the hands of the Blood Emperor. He was elated. Emperor 13 remained cold and emotionless after he heard the Blood Emperor's laughter. He took a glimpse at the boundless sea of blood that was creating blood snakes. Suddenly, a sword essence erupted. At that moment, it was as though he was a sharp blade. A blade that had existed since the dawn of time, and undergone eons of polishing, and finally became the unmatched legendary sword. This sword hovered there as a limitless amount of sword essence pierced the sky. Even the earth trembled under the influence of the sword essence. Far from the battlefield, Jian Wushuang and Emperor Bai and the other experts were dumbfounded by the limitless sword essence. This is especially the case for Jian Wushuang, as he was a sword user. He could clearly sense how deep and complex the sword essence was. He meditated to the sword doctrine and had an incredible understanding of the sword principle. However, his understanding was like a drop of water in a vast ocean compared to Emperor 13. At the same time the sword essence pierced the sky and shook the ground, the aura on Emperor 13 started to grow at a fast pace. This is... Blood Emperor widened his eyes in surprise. He could clearly feel the aura of Emperor 13 skyrocket. It had originally been at the chaotic realm. Now it was climbing to a new level above the chaotic realm. Chaotic divine demon realm? No, this aura is more powerful than a chaotic realm expert's. But I have yet to fully enter the chaotic divine demon realm. He is in the half-step divine demon realm. Blood Emperor muttered to himself as shock was written all over his face. Half-step divine demon. This was the realm between the chaotic divine demon realm and the chaotic realm. This man! Blood Emperor stared at Emperor 13 in disbelief. Chapter 2185 Blood Essence. Unbelievable. Yes, Blood Emperor could not believe his own eyes. He clearly knew how powerful the restriction this heaven and earth had. Under normal circumstances, anyone in this heaven and earth could only use power up to peak chaotic realm. Under these circumstances, he only reached the chaotic divine demon realm after years of planning to create this opposing blood formation via his consciousness embodiment, sacrificing countless lives of living things within the three emperors' world. To reach where he was, he had sacrificed far too much. He had never expected that Emperor 13 could reach the half-step divine demon realm. Even though half-step divine demon realm was still different from chaotic divine demon realm, this meant that Emperor 13 had the power to influence this heaven and earth. However, Emperor 13 did not have the help of any formation, nor had he sacrificed anything. He had only used his fighting power to influence this heaven and earth to reach half-step divine demon realm. On one side was a man who sacrificed greatly, took a long time to create a formation to influence heaven and earth. On the other side was a man who was not prepared at all, but used his raw power alone to influence heaven and earth. The difference between the two was clear. Emperor 13, who used his sword essence alone to influence the heaven and earth, stood there coldly before he swung his sword again. The same move, but its power was many times greater than it had been before. The sword light sliced the boundless sea of blood apart into pieces. The entire boundless sea of blood collapsed. The secret skill that Blood Emperor cast with all his might crumbled. Looks like your power is not much stronger at the half-step divine demon realm. However, now you can use rules of order. Your battle power is much greater than before. Blood Emperor's face turned dark. The fighting power that Emperor 13 had displayed was far beyond Blood Emperor's expectations. He could only dream of killing Emperor 13 now. At that point in time, Emperor 13 attacked again. This time around, Emperor 13 moved instead of simply swinging his sword. He swiped it casually, before flicking it upward. A clean yet complex move. The speed was so fast that none of the experts near the battlefield saw the move. Humph! Blood Emperor was not afraid of that move. His blood chi boiled as he thrust out his blood-red spear viciously. On the battlefield, Emperor 13 and Blood Emperor were brawling it out at close range. Both of these two were much more powerful than the peak experts within this era, and had incredible techniques. This battle amazed the experts from the eternal chaotic world. They are far too powerful. King Qinsheng took a deep breath and said, looking at the battle. Their billions of feet of space were turned into a battlefield. They could barely see two auras colliding in the center of the battlefield. Blood Emperor and Emperor 13 were so fast no one could actually see them. The most they could see were sword lights or spear lights. Every sword light looked simple, but they were extremely complex. Jian Wushuang excelled in the sword principle, and had the highest understanding of the sword doctrine among the experts of the eternal chaotic world. Even he could not dissect the complicated sword lights within the battlefield, as each sword light was extremely deep and complicated. This was after Emperor Sword Principle receiving great restrictions from heaven and earth. He could use the bare minimum of his sword skills, swordsmanship and rules of order. How powerful would Emperor 13 be if he was at his prime? This swordsmanship. Jian Wushuang was engrossed. Jian Wushuang felt that a new door had appeared in front of him, which could bring him to greater heights in terms of swordsmanship. The swordsmanship he had honed up till today was nothing. The other experts too were stunned. Even Emperor Bai stood there dumbfounded. Emperor Bai was the strongest man in this era. He clearly knew he had no right to enter this battle. Emperor 13 could influence the restrictions the heaven and earth had on him to reach the half-step divine demon realm. With this new power, he could even go with Blood Emperor, who was in the chaotic divine demon realm. However, this does not change anything. Emperor Bai frowned. Jian Wushuang's face turned dark. What Emperor Bai had said was indeed true. Blood Emperor had to die in order for this war to be over, and for eternal chaotic world to be safe. The Blood Emperor had to die so that the opposing blood formation would stop running, and the eternal chaotic world would then successfully survive this ordeal. If the Blood Emperor did not die, he could control the formation to cover the eternal chaotic world, and kill the countless living things within the eternal chaotic world to gain more blood chi. With more blood chi, he would be so strong that he would be unstoppable. If that were the case, even Emperor 13 would not be able to handle him. What should we do? Jian Wushuang frowned. At the same time, in the middle of the battlefield. Haha, Emperor 13, looks like you aren't called the leader of the 7 stars for nothing. You can go even with me even though you are in the half-step divine demon realm, and I am in the divine demon realm. It is a pity that the restrictions of this heaven and earth have such a strong effect on you. If I had more time to guide this opposing blood formation towards eternal chaotic world, I could collect even more blood chi. At that point in time, you Emperor 13 will die. Blood Emperor laughed hysterically. Emperor 13 frowned. This was the first time he had showed expression, ever since he had started his battle against Blood Emperor. It was obvious that Blood Emperor was a difficult person to deal with. It was just difficult to deal with. Emperor 13 continued to cast sword skills in his battle against Blood Emperor, as he scanned the battlefield. He looked at Jian Wushuang. Emperor 13 raised his eyebrows as a special blood essence appeared in his palm. He flicked his palm as this blood essence flew towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was shocked. He had not communicated with Emperor 13, and yet he immediately knew what Emperor 13 wanted him to do. He stretched out his arms to catch the blood essence. Once he had caught it, the blood essence seeped into his body. Instantly, a seemingly unlimited amount of special power filled Jian Wushuang. This special power was star power. Within the blood essence there was star power that was many times purer than the star power he accumulated when he used secret skills of Star Palace. His stored star power could only allow him to cast the 3rd scroll of the secret skills of Star Palace for one attack. After familiarizing himself with his new powers, Jian Wushuang raised his head and locked his vision onto Blood Emperor. This man must die. Jian Wushuang swore silently as he gripped his Blood Mountain sword tightly. He turned into a shooting star as he flew towards his target. Even Emperor Bai could not intervene in the battle between Emperor 13 and Blood Emperor. But now Jian Wushuang attacked. Hum. The sea of crimson red filled the entire space as the countless souls within howled in agony. Blood Emperor was the master of the sea of crimson red. He held his crimson red spear as it thrust out as blood-red lightning. He grew in size. Air that radiated gloom spread out in all directions. On the other hand, Emperor 13 was like an ice mountain. He continued to swing the sword in his hands. The sword lights created were either extremely dim or extremely bright. Some of them were overpowering, while others felt like there was no energy in them. His sword principle captured the hearts and minds of many of the spectators. The two were in the middle of a heated battle. Suddenly, a figure ventured onto the battlefield. This man was Jian Wushuang. He ignored the divine power storm and ventured into the heart of the battlefield. The Blood Mountain sword in his hands had a terrifying aura. Hua! A sword light appeared out of nowhere. This sword light looked so simple, so amateur as compared to that of Emperor 13's. However, the power it contained was at least equal to, if not stronger than, the sword light Emperor 13 had created. Once the sword light appeared, the space in front of it was torn into half. A gigantic crack appeared in heaven and earth. At the center of the crack, there was a storm of powerful sword lights that was flying towards Blood Emperor. Blood Emperor looked over, as he felt something was different about the space around him. When he saw it was Jian Wushuang who had cast the sword skill, he looked at him in disdain and said, "How dare a mere mortal like you stand up to an almighty like me?" Scram! Blood Emperor yelled as the crimson red spear swept out towards Jian Wushuang. This brought along layers of crimson shadow. It was like a dragon as it smashed towards Jian Wushuang. After sweeping his spear at Jian Wushuang, the Blood Emperor turned his head and continued to look at Emperor 13 coldly. He only took Emperor 13 seriously. As for Jian Wushuang, he was a mere ant that he could have killed easily. If not for his unique constitution, the Blood Emperor would have killed Jian Wushuang already. Right when the Crimson Dragon collided with the sword light head-on. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.